This might be what I need to bus. And it's like when your mom gives you a bus pass. This might be what I just need to bus. I'm busing, and it's him getting the bus. I'm busing now.
Good Lord.
All right.
Order? So, how's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Good. What's the order?
We'll get to that. We're live, baby.
Oh.
Why do you think he was asking how you were? He doesn't give a shit about how you actually are.
I don't give a shit. I need you to fill time.
What do you think he's actually interested in your life?
Fuck you, dude.
Malcolm and I were in the city.
In the city?
We were in the city.
I believe he told me that you guys were shopping for records, I guess?
Yes, we were shopping for records.
Did you find what you were looking for?
I did. I found exactly. We went in.
Mm-hmm.
I knew exactly what I wanted.
What was it?
Harry Styles' first album and Arctic Monkeys, the AM album.
The Soundwave looking one.
Soundwave.
I like that one.
Yeah.
That one's a good.
So I got both of those, and we just got out. We didn't spend too long there. And then
That's
we were
cool.
walking through Chinatown. We went in like 2 restaurants, and Malcolm didn't want anything, and he was the first one.
Where did you go?
We got there, and he was like, "Oh, you feeling Chinese food?" And I said no initially, and then after we were done at the record store, we walked into a few places, and he said no to everything.
I thought I was feeling it, but I wasn't.
You thought he was feeling it?
What? No, he said he was feeling it.
Do you know the names of the places you were at?
Yeah, I put one of them in my phone. It's over there. It's called like the Ramen Station or something. That was one of them. It looked pretty good, but it's more of a sit-down place. We were trying to get something to take out,
right?
And then we went to the dumpling place.
Which one?
I can't remember that.
You suck.
By the way, I said you thought he was feeling it. I was trying to do a Ice Spice, Ice Spice reference.
Yeah, I felt like you were, but I didn't think anything.
But it wasn't.
Said
it wasn't quite the same line.
Yeah.
If you guys hear that weird noise, that's Malcolm's food getting here.
Yeah.
Malcolm's food is just.
The line is, "You thought I was feeling you."
I know. Yeah.
Varsh and I.
What's the rest of the line?
I don't want to say the best part.
Varsh and I were in the city on Saturday, and we went for dumplings. We went to this place called Mother's Dumplings, which was really good. And then we went down the street to this other place. I forget what it's called. I'll have to ask her. But they had this one deal where it was like 6 dumplings for $4, and it was soup dumplings.
The place we were at,
really good.
The place we were at was 4 dumplings for $8.
Whoa,
that's so stupid.
Which place were you at?
I can't remember.
That's enough.
Okay.
Welcome back to episode 6 of Wildly Adequate, the podcast about anything, everything, and usually nothing. No pregnant pauses this week. I am 1/4 of your hosting crew.
I'm gonna cut you off.
Here we go.
Those nicknames were cute the first couple times, but I'd like to vote that we cut them out now.
You'd like to remove the intros?
I'd like to remove the intros now. Yeah.
Okay.
But I can't be the only one. Like, it has to be a vote.
I think it'll be a bit much to do it every single episode, but I do like being the illustrious one.
You can still be the illustrious.
I'm fine with cutting it out.
Okay.
I'm fine with cutting it out.
You have it.
Matty, you've been undercut. No, don't delete them. Why? Why delete them?
Matty's crying.
Oh no, he's
just moving them out of the way of my document here. Well, here we go.
We're keeping this in.
am 1/4 of your hosting crew.
Yeah.
Mr. Matthew Urso. And I am joined by
Patrick George Michael Fahim.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, why did I say my full name?
Is your middle name? You have 2 middle names?
Yeah.
And it's really George Michael?
George Michael.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
From Arrested Development?
George Michael. Who am I thinking of that does Who am I thinking of that does, what's the song? Careless Whisper.
Yeah, I think it's George Michael.
Isn't that George Michael?
That's George Michael.
But then also in Arrested Development, like, I think his name is George Michael. Like the Bluth family. Like, I think the Michael Cera's character is named George Michael.
Oh my God.
Not everybody knows Careless Whisper, though, so can you give us a quick
demo?
Everybody knows fucking Careless Whisper.
Give us a quick demo. Oh, no.
I don't know if that's helping.
I thought you were going to sing.
It goes like this. I'm never gonna dance again.
Yeah.
Guilty feet. You know that one.
We're getting claimed.
I
We're
was
getting
liking
claimed
it.
for sure. So what I should have done in the beginning of the nickname that we just cut from the show is I should have called you Patrick Careless Whisper Fahim. That's what I really should have called
Patrick
you.
Sensual.
Anyways, and we're also joined by
Mark. That's it. I'm not gonna say
And
my full
that's it.
name. I don't want anyone to pull my IP.
Yeah, I
address.
shouldn't have said my full name.
and last we're joined by
The man who's on a phone call. Apparently, he's not sitting down at the moment. But we're gonna cut me saying this out, and then we can edit it back in.
Yeah, we can. Honestly, I don't want us to edit this at all. I just want everyone to know that he was gone.
well, I was just gonna let the silence hang.
Okay,
be
let's do
and
that.
We're joined by. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
And we're joined by
Yeah.
Hilarious
Very
stuff.
So good, Malcolm.
Good, sir.
Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you. That's hilarious. Malcolm has returned to the table,
So,
and we're ready to go. Who's starting? I already forget.
Patrick is.
Me.
And then,
Oh, you're
and then
starting.
myself, and then Malcolm, and then you.
I'm going dead last.
What's going on? What happened?
No, nothing. I'm just saying goodnight to her.
Oh, it's
Alright.
nighttime there, huh?
Is she enjoying Hungary?
Yeah, she is. She said everyone's very rude.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, Europeans are very rude people.
Europeans
or
Hungarians?
Yeah, she's in a very specific part of Europe.
I mean, she said Hungarians are rude, but she says usually Europeans are rude.
How does she know that?
She said they was very rude in Poland too.
Can I ask
They
you?
were very rude in Italy.
Oh,
I've been meaning to ask you a question, Malcolm.
Yeah.
How's life been without her right now?
careful.
You can be honest.
I'll be honest. I mean, I'm a little bit sad that she's gone because I'm so used to seeing her all the time. But I'm more productive. That's for sure.
And so
and
how does
and she knows that.
yeah? So how does that balance? So I know you feel sad that she's gone, but happy that you're productive. So what is the stronger emotion right now?
Like, is he saying, are you overall more happy that she's gone or less happy?
I'm less happy that she's gone.
What if he was
Okay,
like?
that's
what
the
if
correct
Malcolm,
answer.
What if Malcolm was like, "I'm in a state of euphoria right now that I didn't know was possible."
I've never
Like-
seen him this happy. I've
Oh
never
my
seen him this happy.
You're glowing, Malcolm. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Anyways, Patrick,
Yeah.
take
So
us away.
So for our dedicated listeners, you would know that last week I got the rug pulled from under me with regards to my topic, and I still haven't forgiven Mark for doing that to
But
me yet.
I feel like that term is used when someone's deliberately trying to screw you out of something. Like, I didn't mean to. I didn't even know you.
I
were
know,
gonna
but
do
it's
it.
more fun to me to think that you did.
Like I planned it.
And
Yeah,
you play-
that's fair.
So my topic is food related,
Okay.
and I feel kind of bad for Malcolm because I feel like, as we flesh this out a little bit, he's got a burrito bowl sitting right in front of him, and Mark has he's laid down the law and has said that he cannot take any bites.
Mhm.
So let's see how long you last, Malcolm.
The chews would be too. I think the chews would be too distracting for listeners.
Could be. I mean, Matty would take them out in the end anyways, but
Distracting,
No, but I'm saying it's-
nauseating. It's a whole
nauseating.
Yeah. Grotesque.
grotesque,
I know, I just-
abhorrent to the senses.
I just feel like if the chewing was consistent, then it would be annoying for Matty to have to edit out like 20 different.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes. It would be consistent too, because
Of course.
Anyways,
he's got so much
Who
food.
eats one meal inconsistently? You consecutively take bites.
Yeah, and there's a lot, is what I'm saying too.
Quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just a question for the table.
here we go.
I want you guys to get your minds. I want to prime your minds thinking about meats. All right. And let me set some ground rules here. We're gonna consider, because I don't know why, some people say meat and fish. It's all one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fish, seafood, chicken,
Beef.
steak, lamb,
Sure.
goat, all of the above.
I just want you to know,
Ox.
Patrick, you've never made more sense in your entire life than
Thank
right
you.
now when you said fish and meat are the same thing.
Thank
Why
you.
people separate them is beyond me.
It's
Continue.
It's beyond me as well.
Can we posit why they do that though? Like, what's the idea behind it? Why do they separate it? Do we know?
I don't. I think
know.
it's like, because even with like religious things where it's like, because like, I mean, I'm certainly not religious, but like my family's like culturally Catholic, but they don't like my parents and my brother aren't like, they're not going to church every Sunday or whatever. But like
Yeah.
when it's like a specific thing, like it just happened for Easter, we're on Good Friday. It's like, all right, no meat. Like we're doing fish today. And I'm always like, isn't that the same shit? Like you still killed an animal and are eating its carcass.
You
Like
know-
what's the
Yeah,
difference?
but
The only difference I can personally see
Yeah.
is that like all other meat is like land based, I guess, and then like fish is the only thing that's like water based.
I
Like
guess.
they live in a different habitat completely.
But
Yeah,
it's like,
I don't know
why
the
would that
difference,
matter
honestly.
to
I don't know.
people?
I
know.
don't think it does, but I think maybe traditionally it did. I guess because of religion, like you're saying, like maybe like
I don't know.
religious
Maybe it's something
practices.
like fish was the most accessible, like of the meats back in the day, so that it was like, and then so that would make chicken and like steak and stuff or beef, like more desired.
Sure.
Let's say,
Mhm.
so that fasting from those things
Is
means
meaningful.
something more
Yeah.
than fish.
Sure.
That's always
I
around.
guess that could be it. All I'm saying is you're making a lot of sense.
Thank you.
Please go on.
Okay, so let's start off our discussion here with what is the best meat?
I have my answer right
my
away.
I have my
God.
answer right away as well.
Wow.
May I start?
You may.
I absolutely love like schnitzel, you could call it.
Okay.
It's like breaded chicken or
Is it chicken?
no. Well, I mean,
'Cause-
here's what I'm
yeah.
gonna say.
Okay.
I love chicken schnitzel.
Yeah.
Don't mind beef schnitzel.
Okay.
My favorite type of schnitzel, or I guess you can call it, what do you say? Even like chicken parm. My favorite version of those things is veal.
Yeah.
Like veal parm,
Yeah.
veal schnitzel. Veal is my favorite type of meat ever. It's
Okay,
so
so it's
tender,
veal.
100%.
Okay.
It's so tender. It's so delicious. It has like the taste of beef, which is my favorite taste, but it's so much softer and just like fucking falls apart. It's so good.
Can we define what veal is for the audience?
I believe it's baby cow.
I believe
It's a baby cow or a calf, I guess you can call it.
Suck it, vegans.
Can we get a confirmation on that, Mr. Meat Expert?
Matty, Google it.
I believe so. I mean, I'll do so.
Oh,
Let's just get a search here.
I'm upset that you said believe. I was looking to you as a voice of authority.
What is veal?
Come on, Google.
Veal is the meat of calves. There you go.
There
Yeah,
you
it's
go, baby cows.
That's right. Delicious, love it, so tender.
So specifically baby cows.
Yes.
Yes.
That's my favorite. If I had to get,
It's because
a
they're so
meal.
innocent.
I think I like that I'm taking away the innocence. Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, honestly, to me, it's just to me, it's just how tender it is. I'm not a big fan of like dry, chewy meat, and I don't think many people are. But like also like Patrick and I are Egyptian, and a lot of Egyptian people, Patrick can attest to this, like well done meat.
Yeah.
Like they like their steak like really cooked. It's like dry and chewy.
That's gross.
It is, and I think that's why I've historically not liked steak, because that's how the way my family makes it.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been craving like really good meat that falls apart and it's just tender. So veal is just like number one to me. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
And the innocence. Yes.
I am with Mark on this. The answer is so obviously beef. Now,
No.
don't get me wrong.
No. His answer is specifically veal. Do you like adult cows better, or do you like the innocent ones?
I'm just saying beef.
Yeah,
So you like all of them.
Yeah.
so
Okay.
veal's under it.
Veal's under.
Feels under that
Okay.
umbrella because
If you had to pick a specific one, if you had to pick the daddy cow or the baby cow,
I would go daddy just because as much as I like veal, I like burgers and steaks and all that stuff, and that's more like adult.
what if there was a veal?
Really? I
I
feel like
think
they're a veal
typically.
burger. I feel
Sure,
like
I bet you there's veal burgers,
Oh,
but if
dude.
you're eating like a big when you're having like a 20-ounce steak,
are there veal steaks?
maybe
I don't know if there's enough. Yeah,
I want to honestly. This is what I was thinking too. I don't want us to become like a Good Mythical Morning, but we gotta do some episodes.
Taste
Once we
tests?
get to video, we
Oh
gotta
my
like
God.
do some episodes where we try some food and
Compare some
No?
chicken sandwiches.
I was just showing Malcolm this guy who does like these food reviews.
yeah,
And he's just really he's silly, but he's like fun to like watch.
yeah,
And I'll be like, oh, we're gonna try breakfast foods from all these different breakfast places.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Good Mythical Morning,
yeah.
but it's like it's pretty fun to
The,
watch.
the thing is, it'll be. I think we would have fun doing it. That's
And
the thing.
I
right?
enjoy
Without a
watching it.
doubt.
Like when I eat something, I really enjoy watching a video of like people eating similar things sometimes. Like if I'm eating a chicken sandwich, I'll be like GMM chicken sandwich video.
Yeah.
And then I'll watch
my
like
God.
I'll watch them eat like the Popeye sandwich, KFC, and then they're comparing it.
Yeah.
And when they take a bite, I take a bite, and I'm like,
is that just because you don't want to eat alone?
I mean, no, not necessarily. I'm just bored. And I don't want to sit there in silence and just eat. Like I want to watch something.
Okay.
Then why not watch something where people are doing the same activity?
Yeah, I
I
feel like
guess.
Maddie's kind of hitting a point here. Like you're watching a video of people eating as well, so it's like you're not eating alone, kind of thing. Right?
I mean,
Honestly,
I guess so.
Yeah.
I do the same thing as him a lot. Whenever I eat, almost every time I put on Good Mythical
Oh,
Morning,
yeah.
it has to be an
My
eating
brother does the
episode.
exact same thing.
I haven't done that though in like at least a month or two.
Yeah.
It's just something every once in a while. I'm just like, you know what? I haven't watched GMM in a while. I'm just gonna throw it on.
I'm gonna be honest and toss something out there, as Malcolm shits himself. We'll get back to the beef thing in a second.
Yeah.
I have never understood the appeal of Good Mythical Morning's content. Not once.
Wow.
Never.
Can
It
I
does
tell you?
Why are we making
absolutely
enemies?
nothing
Why do you
for it.
decide that
It's
we?
nothing against them. They're
Okay.
clearly very talented. They've got
I'll tell
an
you what it is.
infinitely bigger audience than we will ever have.
Yeah.
But there's just like you guys have definitely put on videos before and of, like stuff of like, oh, we're trying like a chicken burger from like all these fast food places. I'm like, what is the appeal of this?
When you
I
say
don't
that,
give a
when
shit.
you say that, it makes me feel like you don't deeply enjoy eating food.
I do, but I
Because
don't care
they're
to watch
comparing-
other people eat.
You know what it is, Matty? It's like, to me, it's like watching some of their content. Most of it is like geared towards children or like maybe like teenagers and like it's just like young adults like probably don't enjoy it as much. I think most of their audience is like younger people, or that's
Okay.
their demographic, and so their style of comedy doesn't usually make me laugh very much. Like I don't think they're hilarious or anything. Like every once in a while, maybe I'll let out a chuckle or something.
Yeah.
But to me, it's more so like that. Their videos are just very satisfying. Like everything's very organized. Everything looks delicious. Everything's like they're very descriptive and well spoken.
Yeah.
So it's like interesting to hear their thoughts about certain things.
Yeah.
But I don't watch it because of like the entertainment of how funny they are, for example, just like how satisfying it is.
I
Honestly,
watch.
they're-
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say I think they're fun too. Like when they do the food ones from around the world and they use the darts to pinpoint
fun
where they
game to
think
watch.
it is. It's
Yeah.
fun. I love
Yeah,
watching that.
And also, like big majority of their content, a majority of their content is comparing foods, and
Sure.
and they try stuff that is not around us sometimes,
Or they do like really old from like the 90s.
Or they do really old, yeah. So like they try different foods, and then they give their opinion on what's better. And I don't know, it's just entertaining to see what they think is better.
Sure. I mean, clearly I'm the odd man out. But
You are.
anyways, back to the topic at hand.
Back to the topic at hand.
It's
We're gonna
beef.
Yeah, we're gonna, just so you guys know, we're gonna build on to specific dishes in each respective category. But
Here we
let's
go.
hear from Malcolm.
Honestly, I love steak. I love burgers. I love it all. But I'm gonna go pork.
Wow.
That was my second.
I love
That
pork.
can't be your second.
It
Pork-
absolutely is.
Pork
my
is
second.
pork is low on the rank from pork is low on my list.
It's also low for
Just
me.
because like I love bacon. Bacon's delicious.
Yeah.
And,
Apart from that, though.
and like hot dogs, like pork hot dogs, I
Okay.
like, but I don't really eat them that often.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't really eat pork, and like most of the time I've tried something that is pork, it's
It's
okay.
Bacon and prosciutto alone
Yeah.
make pork like a top contender for me, which is why it's my number 2. But why is it your number 1?
You digress.
I digress.
I think it's my number 1 because recently I've been eating a lot of pork belly. When I was in Costa Rica
yeah.
specifically, I got a pork belly dish because I didn't want to try anything else on the menu. I just wanted to try something new.
Yeah.
It was so good. There was a perfect amount of fat, perfect amount of meat, and I just couldn't get enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
Well,
mouth's watering.
the thing is apart from bacon and prosciutto, prosciutto. Am I saying that right?
Prosciutto.
Prosciutto. Oh, aside from bacon and prosciutto,
So pretentious to say it like that every time.
there isn't much else going on for the pig, and also it's filthy and haram. So how could
You know what I'll say
could
though?
you?
I'm thinking about this now, where I'm talking about the lack of versatility when it comes to pork for me.
Yeah.
But in that same way, my favorite meat, veal, is not very versatile either. There's not many different veal dishes. Maybe you could make them, but like you don't see them often at all.
I think you're not thinking.
Okay, I'll think. Well, because when we come to what I'm assuming you're gonna ask, which is like you hinted at of like, based on our favorite meat, what is our favorite dish from that meat?
Well, it's something along that. We
Okay.
can talk about that too,
Okay,
but
we'll
it
talk
wasn't
about it
that
later.
verbatim. But let me say my favorite
Sure.
first here. I'm gonna paint a broad stroke here.
Take me there.
Seafood.
Interesting.
Seafood is the best, most versatile.
Nah.
Malcolm's not happy. He doesn't like seafood.
Yeah, Malcolm hates seafood, but when you think about it, you have all these different kinds of fish. Like you say beef, you have cow.
Can I say
But
something?
like seafood, you have all these different
can't-
kind of fish. Calamari,
Mhm.
lobster. I can't say seafood.
You
Is
can't
that what
say
you're
seafood.
gonna say?
You can't say seafood because then that's like a very broad.
It is.
Like-
Yeah, I was
like-
afraid that it would be too
Like
broad.
veal is
yeah.
very specific.
Yeah.
Beef is a little bit more broad, but like I would
Okay.
say like if you said fish.
Yeah, I was
Or
gonna
if you
say
said
I'll
salmon.
accept fish because, like, to me, if you're saying fish, you're saying salmon, trout, bass, tuna, like whatever.
Why
but
would
you're
why would
leaving
fish
out like,
not be
Crustaceans.
but you're leaving out like shrimp,
Yeah,
crab,
lobster.
like
even
lobster.
in just saying fish? There's an
Sure,
unbelievable
you still
amount
have
of variety.
Yeah, you have infinitely more than any of us. But that's the
Yeah.
thing. Whereas like seafood, sure, is maybe a little too broad because
Okay,
at
sure.
that point, like shrimp and like a salmon aren't really
You know
the
what I
same
You
thing.
know
Whereas
what
like a
I think?
salmon and a tuna, like
They're more
you're-
similar.
You know what I
Yeah.
think? It
Yeah.
has to be like the same category of animal. Like, yeah, it has to be
Okay.
one animal. Like Matty's
Okay.
is like cow. Mine
Yeah.
is baby cow. Malcolm's pig.
Pig, yeah.
So yours
Okay,
is like,
that's
like-
fair.
Like a fish.
I think that's fair.
Right.
So if I were to narrow down seafood, I guess I would have to just go fish.
Like, what's your favorite type of fish if you had to pick? Like tilapia, like cod. What do you like?
That's really hard. I mean, I can say the fish I eat the most is salmon.
Love salmon.
Have
Have you tried
but
candied
there's
salmon?
so many. I've never tried candied salmon.
It's like kind of like it has like a maple syrupy kind of. It's like it's like a
Really?
candied salmon, with like the same way bacon
Sweet,
gets
you're
candied.
saying.
It's like brown sugar. And
Yeah.
it's
Oh
delicious.
wow, that sounds excellent.
Fish might be my third.
Oh, it should be first, but that's okay.
I'm surprised no one said chicken. I'm surprised.
Honestly,
Chicken is
knowing
a
you
surprise.
guys,
For me,
I
chicken
thought
is
somebody
second.
would have said chicken because
Chicken
all you
is
guys
definitely
ever
second.
talk about is chicken.
What are you talking about? Me? I don't talk
It's
about chicken
definitely
that
a
much.
second for me.
You
but
get chicken burgers. I never get chicken, but you get every time you go to a bar, I get a beef burger and you get chicken.
I
burger.
usually get a good chicken, but like Patrick's like always, it's like junior chicken. You guys are always like wings.
I love wings for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the next segment here.
Here we
if you
go.
will.
Take us there.
So let's go to each category because we all dabble in each of these categories except for Malcolm and seafood. Let's talk about the best form each meat comes in. So, like for example, beef could be burger, steak, ground beef.
I mean, I'll just jump right in and say it's
Yeah.
steak for me. And as much as I love burgers and
Yeah.
like anything else you could put beef in, that's also me including like ground beef and like pasta and stuff.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Now-
I love it, obviously, but it's steak.
What
I
cut?
know you say the best form that it comes in, but
Yeah.
the thing is, a burger isn't just the patty. Like, it's the
Yeah.
bun, it's the lettuce, it's the tomatoes, the sauce.
Yeah, so
like,
that would be
you can't
ground
really
beef.
you can't really compare that to a
This
steak.
is also
You can,
true.
you
Malcolm's
can.
talking a lot of sense here.
Yeah.
Because when I say a burger for the meat, I'm talking about like the patty.
Yeah, I'm talking about the patty.
Like
too.
if I was eating a patty just by itself,
Yeah.
compared to a steak, it's not even fucking close.
Fair
and even
enough.
with everything else, I still say
Do
steak.
I have to isolate my thing then? Like, do I have to say?
Okay,
Just,
let's just.
I think somewhat. Like if you were like to say like a veal sandwich with like sauce and bread, like
yeah.
I think that's fine because the veal is the meat of the thing. Whereas like a burger, like the patty's obviously the draw, but it's the addition of the cheese and the sauce
Sure.
and the gravy.
'Cause what I-
and
what
the
I was-
fucking
what I was gonna say for mine is that like a veal cutlet is my thing.
Okay.
So whether that be in the form of like a veal parmesan, where it's like the veal cutlet with the sauce, the marinara sauce, the cheese, whatever, or if it just is like the cutlet and then you bread it and like egg wash it and then like fry it,
Yeah.
like then you have like a veal a schnitzel. To me, it's tough, but I'd probably have to say the veal schnitzel. I really like it fried like that. So that's if I had to pick one, I'd pick that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my pick.
Fair. For beef, for me, it would be filet mignon or tomahawk steak.
How about so if you said fish, what would your fish preference like one meal be?
Let's do beef first, and we'll go around the other meats.
We're all doing beef.
We're all doing beef.
Oh,
right
I
now.
see.
Oh,
I thought you meant.
see what you mean.
I thought you meant
Yes.
each individual
I
says
get
their own thing.
I see what you're getting at.
Burger, 100% burger.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, you
and
don't
I'm
like
going
steak.
steak.
Yeah.
For beef, I'm burger
doing
for
burger,
sure all day
okay.
long. Yeah.
And you're filet mignon, Patrick.
I'm doing filet mignon.
I've never tried
Malcolm.
one before.
They're very. Oh my god! If we go to Riposta, this place I keep talking about, that's in Campbellville.
I like the
They
way
sell
you. I
filet
like the way you.
mignon.
I like the way you say that.
Campbellville.
Riposta.
Riposta. I don't know how it's
I love
spelled,
Campbellville.
spelled like that, but
Malcolm, beef us up.
It's tough. I love
Where-
burgers.
Give us the beef.
Give us the beef.
But
shepherd's pie.
I don't like shepherd's pie. What the fuck?
It's pretty good. It's okay.
It's just fuck. It's like to me, it seems like a random like mixture of. I don't know. It's like it doesn't seem like cohesive.
What's
it's like,
random about it?
It's just like there's mashed potatoes, right?
Yeah.
And then you have like
vegetables.
beef,
Yeah.
and then you have like veg. It just feels like someone just made a couple different things and just mushed it together. I don't know. I just don't like it.
But then,
Oh,
it's
okay.
all planned out. It's all in order, and then it's cooked.
I don't know about planned.
Well, I mean, what about lasagna? They're just throwing all these
Lasagna-
things on some.
Lasagna is a classic combination of pasta and beef and sauce.
Shepherd's pie is also classic. If we're gonna say lasagna is classic, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
All right, Malcolm, go ahead.
I'm gonna go burger. As much as I love steak, I get more excited about burgers than I do steak.
And honestly, here's the thing
How?
with beef though. Even in like Mexican food, like in tacos and shit, or on nachos.
Oh,
my
carne
God.
asada?
Carne
Mm.
asada.
Carne
get
asada is the worst taco, and Mark can agree to that.
Get
Well, the one that we
out.
tried,
Okay, well,
I
I mean,
guess.
at
La
what's it called?
Carnita.
At La Carnita, yeah, but
we don't gotta drag their name under the mud.
Oh no, La
In the
carnita is
mud.
amazing.
Yeah, I'll
Don't get
come
me
to their
wrong.
defense. La Carnita's the shit. They
Yeah.
make good tacos. If you're ever at
The
Square
sweet
One.
potato taco. Oh,
Well, I
my
was
God.
What's
thinking
the one
more
that-
like the shrimp one, but sure.
What's the one that I had?
Baja
that
shrimp.
What's the one that I had that was my favorite?
Oh, you like the Baja shrimp and the cod? I think, right?
God.
I don't
Oh,
know.
pollo frito.
Pollo frito, mamma mia.
Yeah, the
I
fried
love that
chicken.
one.
Yeah,
Love
right.
it.
Yeah.
Mamma mia.
all right, we're moving on to
Okay.
veal now.
We can do veal. It's
So
pretty.
like I said, for me
yeah.
it was like, it's like a fried veal. It's like a veal schnitzel is
Okay.
essentially what it is. Where you have like chicken. People do chicken schnitzel. People do pork schnitzel. I've tried that before.
yeah.
But yeah, veal schnitzel takes the cake for me.
Yeah. Well, since I already said steak and burgers are so amazing, I'll just say veal burger.
Veal burger. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried one?
I think I have.
I don't think I have, but I'd like to. Although I don't know, something about an adult cow being made into a burger. I like the kind of for burgers. I don't know if I'd like it if it was falling apart as much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like I don't know if I'd like it if it was like super tender and soft. Like for a burger, I want something to be a little bit. I'd have to like bite a little bit harder.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's just the way I
I'd
feel.
probably go veal parm.
Love
like,
it.
for veal.
Yeah.
Although I won't
Like with
lie.
pasta or in a sandwich.
Either or.
Oh my
Because
god.
veal parm is typically like if you're talking about chicken parm or veal parm, it's usually just with pasta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
the
would do
sandwiches
either
are
or.
so good.
So
My
good.
mom's definitely made schnitzel before, and I was thinking this. I can't remember if she actually does it with veal, but she does schnitzel with like the long, like Subway sandwich kind of
Oh,
buns,
yeah.
and then with like the fresh green peppers and
What's it called?
onions. from the-
Ciabatta?
It might be a ciabatta bun picked from like a
did
garden
you
and
just
shit
call
in the
me?
summer. Oh my god, they're so good. But yeah, I'd probably go with like a veal parm.
Okay.
Delicious. Malcolm?
I'm just gonna go for a regular like fried piece of veal. I don't like veal sandwiches.
Like a
I
schnitzel,
don't like
then.
all the like a schnitzel. I love it. I love it so much.
Delicious.
Okay, let's do pork.
For me, it's pork belly. I love
Pork
bacon.
belly.
I was thinking between either pork belly and bacon, but pork belly is so good. It's so good.
For me, pork belly's gross.
You're gross.
Oh.
That's it. That's all you have to say.
But I want to say the pork belly can't have too much fat. If it's all fat, it's disgusting. It actually is.
There's a way to do pork belly like wrong, where it's like too chewy because it's all fat. But there's a way to do it where it's like mostly meat with like the little bits of fat.
Now that is good. That's delicious.
Maybe I had the fat version.
I'm gonna go bacon. As much as I love my prosciutto and sausage, salami, like pepperoni, my goodness, forget about it. All these different things, but it's
potato skin, pig skin,
pig skin. Oh, fuck,
gross.
So good. Actually, okay, I'm gonna say bacon still.
Sorry, that's the face you made.
I'm gonna say bacon still, but we just did it for Easter. There's this way of doing the pig. It's this Portuguese style. They call it like leitão. And speaking of veal, it's a baby pig, like a suckling pig, and we get a half one.
Wait. You guys make like in the movies, and you know that one
Charlotte's Web.
Charlotte's Web or Tom and Jerry is what I'm thinking of, where it's like the actual pig and there's like an apple and stuff.
Oh,
no. It's not that, because we only get a half a pig. So technically, it's like if you took a pig and cut it in half,
literally,
right down the center. Yeah.
So you took the ass end or the head end?
No, not splitting it that way. Splitting it like between the eyeballs. Like
crazy.
if you split it right down the eyeballs, so it's like literally half a pig. So when you get it, it's like head to tail. But
why did you assume he's cutting it horizontally?
I don't know.
But what I'm saying is
the ass end or the head end.
That is probably a close second. And now that I'm thinking about it, we just had it for Easter, but my mouth's watering just thinking about it. The four of us are gonna get it sometime because you guys have never had it. Literally, all it is it's this half pig, and it's like cooked and whatever. But the meat is just fantastic. They gave you this like really salty gravy, which is really good with it, and the skin is like shoe leather brown.
Is it?
But it's crunchy, like it's like a chip almost, and it just cracks off. Holy shit!
That sounds right.
I'm getting moist just thinking about it. So we're gonna definitely get one of those someday. But I'm still gonna go bacon.
All that being said,
yeah. With all that being said, bacon.
I think for myself, I mean, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just this stupid, but like, most ribs are pork, right?
There are pork ribs. There are pork ribs, yeah.
But like, if you order like the most classic type of rib, is it usually pork?
I think
beef?
typically it would be beef, but like, yeah, you can get pork ribs kind of thing.
Okay, in that case, I don't remember if I've tried pork ribs before.
Okay.
So I'd probably just settle my answer for like.
What about ham?
I like ham. Black Forest ham I like that. But you know what? I'm gonna say, at the end of the day, I'm gonna go with like a really good pulled pork.
Because I didn't even think of that.
Because I don't think I've actually ever had like a solid pulled pork. I've had like decent pulled porks, but even those are like pretty damn good. So I imagine if you go to like Kansas City or Texas and they have like pulled pork of like really high quality shit, it's probably gonna be unbelievable.
Yeah, I was about to say bacon, but you've swept me off my feet.
Come on over, baby.
I was watching with my dad one time because my dad likes watching the Anthony Bourdain show where he'd go, rest in piss, where he'd go all over the place, like trying foods and places. And there was an episode I was watching like a month or so ago with my dad where he was in like one of the southern states, and he went to this guy that like in that area is
notorious for
like being the pulled pork guy, and he went to him and they're just showing how it was made, and it was like this massive like almost trough of just pulled pork, and it looked so good. So good.
And to me, it's like I'm sure it's really good dry. People like a dry rub for certain meats.
Right.
But I want that saucy shit. I want I want it dripping in sauce.
Pulled pork, I could go either way. Like, give me saucy or give me dry, and either way, I'm a happy boy.
The problem for me is that, like, because I know you don't mind, like, you like meat lover stuff, Matty, where it's like, to me, when there's too much meat, it becomes too dry, and like even if the meat is moist, I need like a fresh vegetable or a fresh sauce to lighten it up a little bit. So I'd probably go with like I don't know if they do anything other than barbecue for pulled pork, but I'd be open to trying it. But I'll say barbecue. I like barbecue. I'm just saying, I wonder if
like smoked or like done in other ways.
Because like with wings, I like honey garlic. That's my favorite. I wonder if they do like different sauce types for pulled pork.
I see what you mean.
But I feel like with pulled pork, barbecue probably works the best.
Right.
Yeah.
Memphis barbecue.
Oh, like in Milton?
Oh, no.
Oh, you're saying like the state? There's a restaurant called that.
Yeah, there is a restaurant.
Fish, baby.
Fish? Okay, I know he said I couldn't say seafood, but I'm saying like the specific sushi pieces that are rice with like the fish on top. But I love the crab too. Shrimp and all. I could eat those all goddamn day.
Yeah, fish in its finest form to me is definitely sushi. But like if I had to pick one, I might go with like a salmon teriyaki.
Oh,
like
that's
I get
delicious.
at a sushi place where it's like the cooked salmon in that brown sauce. My mom has started making it at home every once in a while.
Yeah.
It's so fucking.
And when you
good.
have like that sticky white rice, and then the teriyaki, like the rice absorbs the teriyaki, so it's like kind of sweet, delicious. I'm gonna go, and it's not even close to me for me. Fish and chips.
Ooh.
1,000,000% with tartar sauce, dipping it. Even
baby.
sometimes I'll have a side of gravy, dip the. So good.
That is excellent.
Love it.
Yeah, baby.
Love
Malcolm,
it.
you're the big fish boy.
We can.
I don't even
Have you ever
know.
tried any type of fish that you were like, this is
I've
pretty good?
tried.
He liked my dad's fish, the salmon.
I liked his dad's
Oven-baked.
salmon with tons of herbs and stuff on
Yeah.
it because I could barely taste the salmon, which I love.
So, but there are types of fish that are less fishy.
They
Like,
are, but I taste the fish in all of them. I taste the sea.
like some of them are very, very. I think tilapia is one of them potentially, or cod. But like one of them is like very, very subtle,
Yeah.
and it almost just tastes like a meat.
Well, when salmon's
generic meat.
baked, it's really subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Malcolm says he tastes the ocean, what he really means is he's tasting the mercury.
There's this one time, Malcolm took me on an errand, and we ended up at my family friend's house.
Oh, no.
And I assured him that
Sounds like a Patrick errand.
I assured him that we wouldn't be long because I was just gonna go to the door and get what I need to get and split, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I knock on the door, I get what I need to get, and he's like, "I just made food. Like, come on in. Like, come eat." I was like, "No, we can't. Like, we have to go." He's like, "No, you're coming in. And then he steps out of the door and he looks at Malcolm. He weighs him inside. So we get inside and we sit down, and all he brings out is a plate, a singular piece of fish on each plate, and orange juice. That's the meal.
Malcolm's worst
And
nightmare.
and Malcolm looks at me with a terrified. It wasn't terrified, but he was just like,
Palpable
"Are you kidding
fear.
me?"
Do you dislike orange juice?
No.
because you pointed out both. So I was
Yes.
I was like, I thought you were trying to describe this plate that he hated everything.
No.
in the whole
Malcolm's
dish.
least favorite food with his least favorite drink.
Yeah.
And he was terrified. Yeah.
Yeah. So I looked him in the eye and I was like, "Malcolm, you have to eat this.
Oh, no.
You have to."
Was
Can't
it
say-
cooked or a raw fish?
It
was
was
cooked.
like a fried cook.
It was like a
it
frozen
fried
one.
fish that you put in the oven.
Yeah. It was a frozen.
Oh,
Sounds
no.
good. I don't know.
No, but he's talking.
It was-
they're talking
it
like
wasn't great.
they're talking frozen. Like
Yeah.
they got it out of
It
the
wasn't
box.
like
It
freshly
was like
prepared. It was
frozen,
like frozen
breaded that you put in the
Yeah,
oven.
exactly.
like
yeah.
fish sticks.
That's
Exactly.
kind of whack.
Yeah. So he was a trooper.
What's
He ate
who
it
is
up.
this person and why do they have the audacity to like invite people in as if they've made like a full course meal and then he gives you like a frozen fish stick thing?
There was
What
no
the
rice.
hell?
There was no vegetables. It was just one piece of breaded fish.
I made food.
But I was
Come
like,
on
"Yeah,
in.
come on in, guys!" And I have like chicken fingers and mac and cheese. Like what?
Just chicken fingers.
Even that would have been better probably. But
His heart was in the right place.
yeah, I'm sorry for making fun of him.
Well,
That's okay.
thank you, Patrick, for taking us down this Schmeat topic.
Yeah.
My
We
mouth's watering.
could go on and on
We
about
go
this.
on and on.
But let's not.
We can,
But
yeah,
let's
we can
not.
cut it short
Let's not.
here.
So, basically, what Patrick was trying to say with this topic is he hates
Fish is the best.
vegetarians. Oh,
Oh my god! Thank God. All right, Mark. That was hilarious. Okay,
Uh-huh.
take us away.
Yeah. Okay. So my topic is kind of BuzzFeed-esque, I'll say.
uh-oh.
So I was talking. I was actually talking to Tamara before you guys got here, and I was asking her if she had any ideas for topics, and she gave me a really good one, and I want to bring it up to you guys here. So one of the topics that I had listed was like favorite sitcoms, but I eventually landed on like I want to talk about each of us being a single character on a specific show and who we'd be. So I want to talk about which Seinfeld characters would we be.
Oh, specifically Seinfeld.
I
Specifically
love
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld.
So here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna start by saying this. I think who Kramer is not even a discussion, right?
What?
No,
Is it not?
I don't think it's a discussion.
I don't think it's a discussion. Okay, wait.
Am I Kramer?
I was gonna say Malcolm's
I was
Kramer.
gonna say Patrick.
Really?
Apparently, it's a discussion.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I just feel like Malcolm's always like goofy and like I don't know. He's just
That's
always
fair.
he's just always silly and being goofy.
He
I don't know.
is. He is. Yeah. He's got just like a clumsy sort of
Yeah,
energy to him. I think.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
But Patrick definitely has the more Kramer body type look. Like you're more like lanky and long.
You could say it.
But yeah,
Goofy looking.
But yeah, I don't know. When it comes to me, when I thought of Matty, like I was like, I think George.
Here's the thing. I was gonna say I kind of want to be George just because George is such a terrible
Oh
person,
yeah, he's hilarious.
and I love that. The only other option I would have tossed out for myself, other than George, would have been Elaine,
Okay.
because she's also kind of a bad person, but she's got that kind of like a bit of a temper and whatever to her,
Yeah.
which I find it myself, but I will gladly accept George.
So Patrick and Malcolm, are you guys cool with giving Matty George for now?
Honestly, I would go
so
more
shocked.
to give Matty Elaine.
Okay.
Because I see Patrick as being more of a George.
Really?
Honestly, Malcolm just said that, and I'm like, Patrick's George.
Is he?
And I'll take Elaine.
Why is
that?
Patrick George?
Well, they both wear glasses. Let's start with the obvious.
Okay.
But I also I find, how do I phrase this in a somewhat nice way?
Please do.
I find the same like idiosyncrasies and like things about George that make him tick. Patrick, see, I share them with George in being like kind of a like shitbag sometimes, whereas I think Patrick shares them with George in being like this very like particular person, and like, you know, like Patrick's the kind of person to just get like up in arms about something. Like
He's very picky about specific
he's very
things.
picky about very specific things in a
Yeah.
very like George-esque way, and at the same time he's got that kind of like scheming, like trying to like game the system, like sort of like trying to like look for a foot up like anywhere he can kind of like attitude about him. So honestly, I will happily give Patrick George
I'm comfortable
There-
doing
and
that.
take Elaine.
There is a dissimilarity between us, though. And I'm referring specifically to the episode where he hops out the pool.
Mhm.
Oh, no.
And 'cause
the
he's
shrinkage.
The
Oh.
shrinkage, exactly. The shrinkage.
and you're saying you don't get shrinkage? You're saying you're
I
beyond that? As a
I
human
know you're
being?
trying to say that, but I
Yeah.
can see you being in that situation and having a similar reaction.
No, I'm trying to say.
Dude, I can't get over Matty being George though, because I feel like Matty's like, he gets very like, I like doing this too, but Matty's very like, he's like, sometimes he's in a mood of like, oh, like I just hate all people, like he's just like complaining, criticizing about people.
Yeah.
And I have a similar personality type in terms of like, yeah, but I feel like because he tends to just kind of be like cynical about certain things.
Honestly, I feel like Elaine complains more about people than George does.
Yeah.
I
You
feel
know
Ah,
what,
she
you know
does.
what the
She does a
difference
fair
is?
amount.
I feel like it's because George has, again, why I think it would be Patrick in the like, it's like a complaining about people. And again, like I think of just like Patrick reminds me of the kind of person like, you know, this sandwich used to be $4.25 and now it's $4.35, and like that would be something Patrick would
You're saying
complain about.
he's cheap.
In like a George-esque way. Whereas like with Elaine, like I find Elaine has like these interactions with other. I hope
Don't mention it. Do not mention.
I got picked
Do
up.
not mention it.
Okay, I won't mention it. I hope, or I find with Elaine, like the interactions she has with people are very like, it's hating people, kind of like Malcolm's saying, in a different way, where it's like, I always laugh at the bit where like she's on the subway train and like it's crowded with people, like nobody will move, and it's just like her narration of like, why won't these people move? And it's like her slowly getting more and more like annoyed of like, nobody's moving, and it just like ends with her in like this freak out of like,
Yeah.
why is nobody moving on the subway? Like, why is it so packed? And I think it's, I get what you're saying, Mark, about me being George, and that's where my head went to. But I think Elaine has the kind of like temper and maybe that like outward rage that I kind of associate with me a little more. Whereas Patrick, it's less rage and more of like, nah, I love you, Patrick. But it's more of that like George Costanza, like annoying, like, is it really a big deal that the sandwich is 10 more cents than it was a week ago kind of thing?
I just want to say on the record, I've never complained about a 10-cent price jump. Just so people don't get the wrong idea here.
But I think generally what Matty's saying is that you have like particular
Yes.
opinions about things that maybe we'd be like, who cares, dude? Like we're more like loose about certain things,
Yes.
and then you're more like nitpicky, like no, this has to be like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
if I can butt in here,
Sure.
I think there's no discussion here about Mark being Newman. No, I'm kidding.
Newman.
I just picked a side character though.
Newman.
Well, I think
Well, I
if
don't know
I'm
what
Elaine and Patrick's George, then between Mark and Malcolm, I think
only two
Malcolm's
left.
obviously Kramer between the two of you.
Yeah.
And I don't say that's a bad thing, because Kramer is all
Oh, I
obviously
love
blood.
Kramer. And also, you know what works well for Kramer? And I was telling Tamara this too. Kramer, he's like, at some point in one of the episodes, he becomes like Latvian Orthodox or whatever. He goes to
He
convert.
does.
And they give him, they tell him that like after they've analyzed his spirit or whatever, they're like, you have this thing. And there's like a Latvian word
Yes.
for it where like girls are just like, they can't get their hands off of you. Like
That's
you
right.
attract all these women
Yes,
or whatever.
this is definitely
That's
part of
right,
it where
that's
like
right.
Kramer definitely pulls.
Yeah,
And so I
dude.
feel like that immediately ties Kramer to Malcolm.
100%.
But the other thing is, I feel like Kramer's the one who it's like half his shtick is just coming bursting into Jerry's apartment.
The way he does it.
in.
But like coming in, and then he's always got like some random it's kind of like Charlie on It's Always Sunny, where there's always just some like random what the hell are you talking about thing going on.
Or just making noises too.
And I also tie that slightly more to Malcolm, because Malcolm will not to a Kramer extreme, but Malcolm will like have a thing to like say, or like a story he experienced, or like just something every once in a while where I'm always like, we lead very different lives. I'm like, what the hell happened like that would have ever resulted in that situation? So that's why, at least to me, I would peg Malcolm more as a Kramer, which would then ultimately leave Mark with Jerry, which I'm also comfortable with, because I think
here's what I want to do. I want you guys to talk about, because he's left over, but like, would I actually fit in his character type at all?
I wanted to just go back to the whole Latvian Orthodox thing.
Oh, sure.
I think that what they said was, you have the pull of the beast or something. It's like, it's like animal magnitude along those lines.
It's like a supernatural like gravitational pull.
Yeah, it's this thing that you can't control, but it's like, it's within you, and it draws them. And
and then Kramer is like, oh yeah, yeah, I got that.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, ask what you were gonna ask.
I think to Mark's question, I was probably gonna lean towards you being Jerry anyways, because like my rationale would be that you're more like, I guess, like laid back in a sense with something. I know there's other things that also like you're more like frustrated by, but I feel like it's a similar thing where it's like all of them on the show to some extent are like, because they're all shitty people, they're all frustrated by others around them. Like every single one of them is frustrated by people around them. So I feel like that applies. To sort of all of them and all of us. And I guess why I would put you more towards Jerry is the different kind of frustration with people, whereas like mine with Elaine might be rage, and like Malcolm's with Kramer might be more that kind of like confusion, or just like unable to like just doesn't like get why people are like whatever. And then Patrick with George is more of like this like annoyance with people. I feel like Jerry's is more of a like, I don't even know how to put it into words, but it's like this, it's a different kind of annoyance than George's. It's like a less loud annoyance.
Sure.
Than George is almost.
I think one of Jerry's standout, or one of his more prominent features, is his pickiness. So we have to ask ourselves, is Mark picky?
I'm pretty picky.
Sure.
I was thinking to myself,
too.
I think of all of us, but see, it doesn't make sense to me, because Malcolm hates fish.
No, we're talking. Let's not talk about food. I think
if we're thinking about women, I think Jerry and Mark sit on the same kind of scale.
Really? Why is that?
Pickiness for women.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see.
Because Jerry is really, really picky about women, and
am I though?
I feel like you.
I don't think Mark is very picky about women at all.
I think he is.
I don't think.
Well, not to make you sound like you don't have standards.
No, I understand. I'm more. I think I'm more probably open to different looks than Jerry would be. Yeah. But I think that I think I relate to Jerry in terms of like him being similar to George, I guess. He's annoyed by very like mundane, like simple things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the picky thing. But like when I thought of it, I was having a hard time thinking about what you are picky about. Because like I don't really like, what are you picky about? I don't really know.
I feel like I'm more so picky about like interactional stuff.
Okay.
Like if people say certain things, it bothers the shit out of me. I don't really express it to them. Yeah. But like there's little things where I'll be like, oh, I hate when people say this all the time. Yeah. Stuff like that.
He's also a germphobe.
I'm not necessarily a germaphobe.
Yeah. What
are you talking about?
Jerry's so like particular about like cleanliness and stuff.
Yeah, he is. But what I'm trying to think about is like, do I fit in any other character better, or is it just because it's left over?
I see, that's the thing. I also don't think you necessarily fit any of them better. Like I get Jerry vibes from you, whereas like I don't really get Kramer vibes from you. No. I don't really get Elaine vibes from you. So the only other closest one, like the second one, would maybe be George. But even that, I find. Put it this way. Here's the picture I'll paint for all you guys. Imagine you're watching TV. Where's Patrick going?
Oh, there he goes.
He's going and he's making a lot of noise on it as he makes his exit. Here's what I would say, and hopefully Patrick can hear me from wherever the fuck he's going. He's going to blow his nose. There it
Real
is.
loud.
That's real loud. We're gonna try and talk over that. If you were sitting down watching TV and Seinfeld came on,
Yeah.
and the show starts, Jerry's sitting in his apartment. I want you to picture this in your mind's eye, and it's Mark reading a newspaper. Malcolm comes sliding in through his door and is like, Mark, you're never going to believe what happened today. Suddenly there's a buzz at the door, and it's me downstairs being like, hey, it's me. I come upstairs, and Mark's like, Matt, you're never going to believe what kind of crazy kooky story Malcolm's got cooked up. And I go, okay, here we go. I don't know how to introduce George, so let's just say George comes out of the fucking bathroom, but it's Patrick. What I'm trying to get you to do is picture in your mind's eye a Seinfeld episode where we're in those respective roles and how much that makes sense to you. That's what I'm trying to do.
I think
It doesn't.
in that way, because I'm starting to imagine certain things, because I feel like sometimes Kramer will tell Jerry a story, and Jerry will be like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And like I feel like of all of us, if Malcolm's telling me something, I'm more talkative in terms of like questioning what the hell he's talking about. I feel like personally.
I feel like for Matty, I can see Matty coming up as Elaine because Elaine complains about work and other things so much, and I can see Matty like trying to buzz up and coming up and complaining about work all day long, and I can also see Patrick walking out of the bathroom at a funeral with no pants on.
And that's the other thing too. I feel like Kramer has the like crazy stories and like the weird experiences and like the little odds and ends that I attribute to Malcolm a little more. Like how in the middle of the winter he still sleeps with his window open at night, which is just, and that's you. That's not Kramer. That's you, Malcolm the human being, which is
Kramer.
astounding to me. That's insane.
I've done it.
In the winter, never mind.
When it's a little, because sometimes my room gets warm, and then I crack it a little bit. I don't fully
I
open
guess,
it.
but the thing is, so I attribute that kind of stuff to Malcolm, whereas I attribute the George stuff to Patrick. Of like, I find that Patrick's not coming out with like a crazy story necessarily, but Patrick finds himself not with the stories, but like in the weirder scenarios of like, I was at the wedding and came out of the bathroom with my fucking pants off, like that kind of like.
How? I live a really boring life.
I mean, we all do compared to Seinfeld, but I guess at the end of the day, there's also a part of this conversation that it's like, it's a vibe thing.
Sure.
You know? I get like those vibes from the three of you,
You know what
and myself.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like there are certain things where like Jerry's vibe is oftentimes very like he's kind of like sassy. You know, he's
There's a sarcasm.
He's sarcastic a lot.
Yeah.
And he has little quick one-liners and little. I feel like I fit that bill sometimes. Where
Yeah.
I just kind of like be like, oh, whatever, like just like say like a little quick thing that's just like me being like annoyed by something, but like trying to be jokey about it type of thing.
Right.
So I feel like I'll take Jerry. That's cool. All right. Well, that was fun.
What was I gonna say really quickly before we eject out of this? Why can't I remember the actress's name who plays Elaine?
Wait, you're talking. Wait, who plays Elaine?
Yeah. Why can't I remember her name? It's on
Oh,
the
she's
tip
in
of my
Veep
tongue.
too.
Yeah, she's in Veep. Now she's in some of the Marvel stuff.
Wait, so
It's crazy that we have Google
So
at
we got
our
Jerry.
fingertips.
We got Jerry Seinfeld. We got who's Kramer?
Jason Alexander,
Okay.
Kramer's. Why can't I remember Kramer?
Rashida Tlaib.
No, I can't. Something Richards.
Oh, Jeremy.
That's not Rich.
Is it not Richards?
I think it might be Richards. Let's Google
We're
it.
spending way too long.
We are.
Here,
just
wait.
as we
We're
make
gonna
this
cut it
exit.
anyway.
What's her name? Why can't I remember her
Give me a
name?
first letter so I can try.
Oh, Julia Louis Dreyfus.
Oh,
Julia
yeah.
Louis Dreyfus.
Oh,
Jesus
that's
Christ! I just
right.
wanted to toss out Julia Louis Dreyfus.
Michael Richards.
There you go. Julia Louis Dreyfus.
You guys know Patrick Warburton?
Yeah.
This guy. He's like this guy. Hey.
Yes, he
yeah.
plays
Dave Buddy.
Gronk from Emperor's New Groove.
Yes, he
yeah.
does. To close us out, Julia Louis Dreyfus. What a stunning woman!
She's okay.
She's pretty.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Mid.
Beautiful. Not mid.
How dare you?
But you know what? The overall package of like how funny she is, and like I don't know. It's not just.
That's what I'm
a-
saying. I
yeah.
also like I'm super attracted to her because she's hilarious. But anyways,
Mid.
fuck you.
All right, so Malcolm, take it away. What's your topic this week? Do it.
Oh my God, you didn't come up with
No,
one.
I did. Let's talk about Star Wars.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
yeah.
How does this
Yes.
relate to what Mark was bringing up for you?
Nothing. It doesn't. Here's mine.
Okay.
What did I suggest to him before?
If you were rich, what would you buy? Or if you were to be someone else, an animal, what would you be?
So we're doing
If you were to be an animal, he did not say that.
I did say that.
You did?
Yeah.
Somebody doesn't pay attention. Star Wars, Malcolm. What's Star Wars? Take us there.
Let's talk about our favorite Star Wars movies, our favorite Star Wars moments.
It's coming in his head
It's coming now. It's coming now. It's coming now. I'm gonna start off. One of my favorite Star Wars moments, although it's not from any of the originals, is Rogue One, when the rebels are in the ship and Darth Vader is about to invade the ship. And he turns his lightsaber on. It's completely dark, and it just lights up red. And he just
kills everyone. Rogue One, I've said this many times, is a good movie. Forget the fact that it's Star Wars. It is a good movie. It's telling you stand alone.
Well, it's one of those things where it's kind of like I would put Empire Strikes Back sort of in that category, where it's like Empire I think is just a well done movie. Like removing all the Star Warsness of it. Like if it was just the story and the I just think it's a really well done movie. Whereas I love A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, and as for the time and the technical shit they were able to pull off is impressive in its own right, but as movies, the way my dad's always compared it is Star Wars is kind of like the popcorn of sci-fi, where it's you're kind of you're watching it because it's fun and entertaining, but it's not necessarily much more than that. Whereas something like Blade Runner is the the steak of sci-fi, where it's this more thought-provoking kind of whatever thing. And I think Empire, and to your point, Patrick, Rogue One, they're the closest to sci-fi steak that Star Wars gets, is what I'm saying. Anyways, go on.
No, that was my whole point.
Just
that Rogue One is just a standalone, a great movie.
But that's not your favorite. Well, so first of all, Malcolm said that was your favorite moment.
That was my favorite moment.
What's your favorite actual movie?
My favorite actual movie is Empire Strikes Back.
Same, which I know is a basic bitch answer, but
to me, it's I'm debating saying Empire Strikes Back, but when I first watched the Star Wars movies, the originals, my instinct was that Return of the Jedi was my favorite Star Wars movie. And so I'm going to stick with that because, I haven't seen them in years, but when I watched them the first time, I was that one was special. I love that one. I don't know.
Yeah, that one's really good. You guys all know Star Wars Episode 3 is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yep.
But are we just talking about movies right now?
Yeah, Star Wars movies, right? Or we can add in shows.
Well, I think we're going to get to Star Wars as a whole. At least that's what I'd like to explore
in
a bit.
Well, we'll just stay with movies for now. And my favorite moment... I think, has to be...
Or it could be most impactful, too. It doesn't... Because I know there's certain moments that, are upsetting. Yeah. But maybe that's not, your favorite in terms of happiness, but,
Yeah, I didn't really perceive it as happiness. Enough. Yeah, so I was just going to say when... after Anakin and Obi-Wan are done fighting on Mustafar, and he's, on the hill, and Obi-Wan's above him... That just whole dialogue where Obi-Wan's talking about how he failed him. That's my favorite.
Hi, chow.
Before that,
you've definitely talked about. I think you've mentioned on the show that that's the one movie that
not the one movie.
Well, it's one of the movies that gets you sad and whatever.
I feel like sorry. I don't know why I'm thinking this, but I feel like at some point in the Mario movie, I started tearing up. I could be wrong though. There was a movie recently that I was watching and I started tearing up.
There are some moments that are sweet. When it was anytime there was a moment between Mario and Luigi, and they were as long as we stick together, we'll be good. And they're hugging each other at the end because they're so happy to see each other, and they were so scared when they weren't together.
Yeah,
when they hugged again, I was like, oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah, I don't as you guys know, I don't really sad cry at movies and things because I'm probably broken and need therapy, but I get the happy nerdy hype tears about stuff, and I definitely had that happen slightly at Mario, spoiler alert, but at the end when
why would you do that? You forced Mark not to do spoilers for Last of Us. That's so old, and you're gonna spoil Mario that just came out.
The Mario movie, the plot is kind of the least important thing about it. It's Mario.
Is that up to you to decide?
Fine, I won't.
No. I want you to mention it.
There's a moment in the movie towards the end where they basically the camera is looking at Mario in a 2D kind of way, like the games, and it's just this very cool moment of him and another character running around.
That's in the beginning. That's not the end.
No, they do it in the beginning, but they do it towards the end when it's him and Donkey Kong.
Oh, that's right.
And it's they're kind of running around and going over Koopas and stuff, and it's in the 2D, and the orchestra, they're doing an orchestral version of the Mario music, and it's that was the thing where I got the nerdy happy tears of this is really fun and so well cool. done and whatever.
And that moment in the end too, I'm just gonna spoil. it's not that big. It's not that big of a spoiler, but it's like him, and he's like at the very end when he's choiced with hiding in the restaurant and waiting, or like going out and helping them, and he's sitting there, he's all banged up, and his face is swollen and shit, and he's like looking at the TV, and it's like playing the ad, and his Luigi's out there, and he's like getting his ass kicked, and Peach and all them. Yeah. And he like gets the inspiration from his ad that he made with his brother, and like it reminds him of how much he loves his brother and how he wants to protect him. And it's really cute.
And then he goes out and kills Bowser.
And just lops his head off.
Pulls out a loaded firearm. Here's the thing I was gonna say with Star Wars, though.
They were in Brooklyn, right? So it's entirely possible.
Here's the thing with Star Wars, and I don't mean to hijack this too much, Malcolm, but I kind of wanted to like almost not break down, but I kind of wanted to go through the Star Wars eras with all of you, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
Like, do the prequels, do the originals, the new ones, and then, like, everything outside of that, like the shows and games and all that shit, and just kind of, like, go through all of it with you guys, you know?
That works.
So, let's start where it all began chronologically, the prequels.
Okay. What exactly did you want to talk about?
I just kind of want to get into, each aspect of them. Like, I for one can't stand the prequels, but I know Patrick, for example, and Malcolm to an extent, you guys like them a little more.
Here's what I'm gonna say. Here's what I'll say about the prequels for myself, which is that, like, do I think they're weaker movies overall? Like, if we're taking them as like isolated movies, like you're talking about Rogue One being simply just a good movie, no matter if you're a Star Wars fan or not. Like, for me, the prequels aren't great movies, and they're nowhere near as good as like the originals in terms of like overall quality of a film. But to me, it's like I can find a certain level of like enjoyment because I love the lore of Star Wars, and I love, I don't know, for lack of a better term, like the vibe of Star Wars. Like, I like the background characters, I like the historical information, I like the fun combat. Like, there's a lot of stuff I like about the prequels, but in terms of like strength of plot, I don't think they're very good. But I can sit down and enjoy them. Like, if I'm doing a Star Wars marathon, I wouldn't just do like, if I didn't have that much time, I'd just watch the originals. But if I was like, you know what, we're gonna do it properly, I'll watch all of them, and I'll still find enjoyment out of 1, 2, and 3. I'm just not like crazy about them. They're just like, eh.
Notice how 7, 8, 9 those three haven't entered the discussion even a little bit.
We'll get there because honestly, I'll say that 7, 8, 9 I think are better because I think they're better movies than the prequels overall. Do I think they're like as like
The Last Jedi?
They're better movies. I don't necessarily think they're better Star Wars movies.
The Last Jedi.
That's what I'm
like. I think Episode 3 is I think 7's better than any of the prequels. Full stop. But I think
Force Awakens.
Yeah,
I like that one.
I think 3 is a better Star Wars movie than 8 and 9 for sure. Okay. In terms of like acting and CG and like writing and that kind of stuff. Sure, I guess 8 and 9 are maybe like you could make a point they're better than the prequel movies.
But it depends on what you value, because what I was going to say is that like just because I like, let's say 8 and 9 as movies better doesn't mean I like them as Star Wars movies better, because I could like, the overall feel of one of the prequels more than one of them, more than 7 or 8.
I can't keep this in any longer.
Okay.
And I'm so sorry for doing this. Forgive me.
Farts.
My favorite part of Star Wars is the shows. I can't keep it any longer.
Oh, the cartoons.
The Clone Wars, Bad Batch, Rebels.
I've never seen any of them.
They are. You guys would love the shows. Okay.
You've seen them? Have you seen The Mandalorian? I know that's.
I've seen The Mandalorian, but I'm talking about the animated show specifically. It's one of those things where it's like the characters get so fleshed out, and they have the characters get so fleshed out, and they have the liberty to like tell all these cool stories, and they're not bound by CGI and like all this live action stuff. They can make it all in the same medium of animation. Like I don't know. We talked about
here's
a couple
the
weeks
thing.
ago. Yeah.
And when we get to the shows and some of the other movies and all the expanded stuff, my problem with the prequels, aside from like just like things like I don't think they're well like made movies, or they're like they look like fucking PS1 cutscenes with like all the dumb CGI. The thing with them is similar to what I feel about the sequel trilogy, where it's a lot of wasted potential, and there are good ideas, and I think what the prequels have the advantage of is that the prequels have had like 20 years basically of animated series and like shows like the Obi-Wan show, and we're about to get Ahsoka, and like all this stuff that like are additive to those. And I think my kind of hope with the sequel trilogy with 7, 8, 9 is that as time goes on, shows start to explore characters and aspects of those to kind of like retroactively make them better.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean the movies as they stand on their own? No, because again, I don't think 1, 2, and 3 on their own stand that well. I think 1 and 2 plus 5 or 6 seasons of Clone Wars and shows sprinkled in between. Like I think all that adds to them a great deal.
Yeah. Well, you got it exactly right there. The Clone Wars unlocks the potential that those movies presented.
Exactly, because with like episode 1, it's like, what is arguably the best part about episode 1? It's fucking Darth Maul. He's fantastic. And what do? They waste him immediately. But then you get the shows and all the stuff that like brings him back and like turns him into like from this just like cool character that we wanted more of to like, oh, somebody we got more of and is like dope kind of thing.
Yeah. And I don't know, to me I feel like because like they're longer and like they flesh out the characters more, I care more about the characters in the animated series. And when, for example, the Clone Wars goes up until Order 66 and they actually live through Order 66 in the series, it's so dramatic when they actually get to Order 66.
But that's the thing,
so
where I
well
feel
done.
like most people...
And that's the thing, like they do this thing where they introduce the Mandalorians, and that's how like the Mandalorian show came to be. And right now, you were just mentioning it, I'm caught up with it, and they're sort of exploring, like they're referencing Clone Wars and stuff, you know what I mean? So it's like this whole thing was built from Clone Wars, it feels like.
I guess what I'm trying to say is the thing is like with Varsh, for example, for me, I don't know if she's seen all the Star Wars movies, so at some point I'm going to torture her and sit down and make her watch like the 9 mainline ones, and for sure Rogue One.
I thought you were going to say at some point I'm going to torture her and then show her the Star Wars
and then show her the Star Wars movies. But the thing is, like, if somebody had never seen anything from Star Wars ever, if you wanted to technically do like a full comprehensive look at Star Wars, if you showed somebody episode 1 and 2 and then made them watch all of Clone Wars and like through Obi-Wan would be after 3. But what I'm saying is, like, if you didn't go from 2 to 3, if you did 2 and then like all the Clone Wars stuff basically and then went into 3, I guarantee you like a lot of people would be like, holy shit, what a like masterpiece 3 is, as it capitalizes on all of the stuff that just happened here kind of thing. Yeah. So it's like, it's with the prequels, like I said, it's a case of wasted potential and like good ideas either followed incorrectly or like not followed at all. Definitely some bad ideas. Midichlorians. What the fuck? But like,
which ones are those guys? Are those the Jar Jar Binks?
No, it's like a thing when they're like, oh, the Force is like it's the midichlorians in your blood, and like that's how people use the Force, which is like such
a dumb concept.
It's just such a dumb thing because in the original trilogy, it's like, as the quote goes, it surrounds us, it binds us. Like it's this more like almost religious, like spiritual kind of thing. And then in the prequels, it's like, nah, science, it's in your genetics. Oh, you don't have it in your blood, stupid? Fuck you, like no Force for you, which was always something that kind of bugged me.
What I was gonna say is, to me, like, I've never watched any of the shows, and so I'm just kind of analyzing it as just movie series. Yeah. And again, like, to me, if I'm just gonna rank, like, I would rank the originals as my favorite series, like my favorite set, and then I would rank the newest ones, and then the prequels.
Wow.
Because to me,
honestly, that's not unreasonable.
Because like I agree with what Matty said, which is that to me, Force Awakens is better than any of the 3 prequels.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy Rise of Skywalker. I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay.
And like, I don't know. Overall, as a trilogy set of movies, I think that the newest trilogy is a better set of movies. Because all I'm thinking about it of is like enjoyable movies.
Okay.
I enjoy them, and I think they're better movies personally. Yeah. But what I want to talk about though, if that's okay, is
I think you should ask Malcolm, because we kind of butted you out of here.
That's fair.
Where did you want to go with this? So what's going on here?
You guys go wherever you want with that. I don't care.
Okay, perfect. So
Star Wars, the topic.
I also haven't seen any of the animated series, although I do want to watch them.
Yeah, you have to.
But
you have to.
Oh my god!
Sorry. For rankings, I would do the original trilogy, and then I would do the prequels, and then the newer ones.
Yeah, the newer ones are just not good Star Wars movies, in my opinion. Like specifically Star Wars movies.
I think that's a fair opinion. But to me, it's like I'm actually not the biggest like. I'm not very knowledgeable on Star Wars, and I would have a hard time saying that I'm a true Star Wars fan. Like, I do enjoy the movies a lot, but I'm not as like into it as people who are like, Star Wars diehards type thing. Yeah. That's why I like I'm a bigger fan of movies than I am of Star Wars. But what I wanted to bring up though is like the video games, because like to me, Like I love Lego Star Wars. I used to play that shit all the time.
Oh my god, I love Lego Star Wars.
Like,
complete saga.
I want to buy it. I want to buy the complete saga. I think they have it on PS5 or something.
Is there multiplayer?
No, but you can. It's the local.
Local probably, but I don't know if it's online.
Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yup.
Oh my God.
The original,
yep,
not the new
yep.
shitty
The OG
EA
one.
one.
Even the EA one had there was like some cool because it's so visually cool.
Yeah, it is very.
It's like it's so
cool.
fun to be in those environments, and I want to play
Honestly,
it at some point. But
Heroes vs Villains in Battlefront 2.
that was so
I
fun.
love that.
We
I
should
love
do that again.
I'd love to, but
I'm downloading it tonight.
Okay.
Honestly, I will too.
All right,
but I
perfect.
recently purchased Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2 for PS2.
Foo?
Battlefront 2 for PS2.
You're going to
And although they are cool games and they're very nostalgic, they just don't compare.
Of course, well,
Because-
because they're just so dated, right?
After playing like the new Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, they're crazy good. And I love Battlefront 2. I love the way your character moves. I love the way everything looks.
It's
Everything
so
looks
visually
unbelievable.
spectacular.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
And when you throw a bomb and it goes wow, and it just
Yes.
wow. And even when you're running around as like a stormtrooper and you have like the gun, it's like like the feeling of the gun shooting
Yeah.
and like and then you look up and there are like TIE fighters and it's so
Yeah.
cool.
There's so many aspects to like the online game. Like you can be in a TIE fighter at the same time as there's online players
We're playing it tonight.
on the ground.
We're playing it, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's unbelievable.
The one that I think holds up though is Battlefront Elite Squadron.
I was just gonna say that.
That
I was
one
gonna
is the
say-
craziest
is that the-
Battlefront game.
Is that
That-
just the newest flight one?
No, Elite
that's-
Squadron is one of the older ones. Sorry,
That's
I'll
a-
let you
Is
explain.
that for PSP? That's a PSP.
It was on PSP.
I was gonna
There
say
was-
because I still have the PSP
Yeah.
Battlefront, which was basically just like a port almost of two.
Yeah.
to
It was crazy. Like
PSP.
you can be.
It took
was
it
a
to-
combination of land battle and space battle. And
Yes.
once you finish either the space battle or land battle, you take a spaceship to either like if you're in the space, you start there and finish your mission there. You take like an escape pod and you go down to land and finish down there. But
Yes.
if you're on land and you finish down there, you take a spaceship and you go up. You go into space and then you can fly and land into the ship and finish your mission there.
What he's saying
cool.
is that it's literally like a battle, and there's multiple ways to win. So when he was referring to space, like you can choose not to like engage in the ground. You can take a ship, fly up to your ship, infiltrate the enemy ship, and then the way you would win from there is you have to find their reactor core, blow up
so
their
cool.
reactor
So
core.
good. It was
It's
so good.
amazing. And then if you're the
Damn.
team that loses the reactor core and you're in the spaceship, there's escape pods. You have to run to the escape pod. It sends you back down to
That's
the planet.
I love that.
It's
You're
so
like, they're like, your ship is gonna
amazing.
blow. There's red sirens going
Yeah.
off, and you run into the escape pod. Hoping
Yeah.
it doesn't blow.
Yeah, the PSP one was. The
And then you
shit.
can customize your characters, you, like clone troopers, droids, stormtroopers,
I remember
rebels.
that. I remember that now.
Oh my god!
I will say though, to
Yeah.
take us out of the prequel era
Yeah.
and into the OG era,
Yeah.
the one thing about the prequels is even though I don't really like those movies, there is something inherently nostalgic about them because they were coming out. Well, not Phantom Menace, but Attack of the Clones. Even that I could be wrong.
It's like
about.
06 or something.
But like Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, they were coming out around the time, like in those early 2000s when we were like 3, 4, 5 years old kind of thing. And there's just some, even though I didn't see any of the original, like the prequel ones in the theater, I just remember watching them on TV and being enamored with them. And I've shown you guys part of this before, but like, and they used to air it like every holiday season when they would show like the original Star Wars Clone Wars, but not the CG cartoon. It was like the 2D one done by the Samurai Jack guy. Just watching that cartoon and watching those movies is such a like nostalgic thing to me. And I know I'm a little bit of a hypocrite here because I talk about the dumb things in the prequel trilogy. And there's one thing that I will defend till my dying breath that I definitely know like diehard Star Wars fans are like, that's dumb as shit. Shout out to my boy, Mr. General Grievous. Are you fucking kidding me?
So, oh my
They
god!
gave a cyborg 4 lightsabers, and then they said, where did he get those lightsabers? He murdered other Jedi and took them, and they're his trophies. Are you fucking
Matty,
kidding
watch the Clone Wars, my guy. If you love Grievous, watch the Clone Wars.
So
Yeah.
cool.
Also, another character I like from the prequels
Yeah.
is what's his name?
Jar Jar Binks.
Count
No,
Dooku?
no, damn, what's his name? Liam Neeson's character.
Oh, Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon's
Qui-Gon
great.
Jinn, yeah.
I love Qui-Gon.
He's great,
And
yeah.
Count Dooku's pretty cool too. Is it Doku?
Dooku.
I love his curved lightsaber.
The little,
Oh, it is
like,
dope.
the
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 curved
blade.
hilt.
Yeah, the hilt.
It hits the spot.
It hits that spot alright. Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm going to breeze through this slightly quicker. The original trilogy. The one that truly started it all.
Yeah.
I mean, just the GOAT. Some of the
Love
most
it.
iconic.
You know what's crazy that I was thinking about not too long ago? The intro, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Star Wars is history. Like, it's not future-esque. It's literally... They're saying it happened a long time ago in a different galaxy. Like, it happened before our time.
Yeah, it's saying. Like that's always been one of the things. Even though I've told you guys, and I think I mentioned it before, that like I like sci-fi more than I do fantasy.
Same.
Yeah.
But what I appreciate about Star Wars, and this is what annoyed me about the midichlorian thing in the prequels, is that I always found, particularly the original trilogy, struck like the perfect balance between sci-fi and fantasy. Where it's like, yes, there's robots and lasers and we're flying in space. But like the Jedi and the Sith and the way everybody, like if you listen to the way people talk about the Force in the original trilogy,
magic.
It's not like this scientific, like there's the Force thing that we quantify.
Mm-hmm.
It's this very like magic, like
the
wizardry kind of like thing that like nobody really understands except for the Jedi and the Sith kind of thing.
The thing is, aside from that one liner, it's still treated that way in all like in everything I've consumed at least.
Yes.
Like, for example, in like this is random to bring up, but Star Wars: The Old Republic video game, it's like that vibe in all the animated shows. Like Yoda even says in the very first episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, like he talks about how the Force is within all the clones, and he's not talking about midichlorians or anything. He's just talking about it as this like ethereal thing that like binds all of us together.
Well, and they've definitely over time gotten away from the midichlorian thing, because I think even they kind of understood of like, this is kind of dumb.
It was lame, yeah.
But like that's the thing where I just like, even the way, I forget the exact quotes, but like in the one scene in A New Hope when like Vader's talking with all like Tarkin and all the other admirals like in the room, like, and he ends up like choking the one dude. What?
Governor Tarkin.
Sure.
Sorry.
But like the way they like talk to Vader about shit where they're like almost dismissive of like, your stupid like wizard stuff. Like it's just such a like interesting and well done balance of the two that I feel like isn't seen very often, of the sort of like weird fantasy magic combined with spaceships and robots and lasers.
Yeah.
But I mean, those original movies, I just still to this day I am impressed by how good they are and how much they hold up.
Because you're dumb.
It's because I'm dumb. But even just like the stuff they were able to achieve like without CGI, of just like, you know, all the practicality of like the sets, and it's like Chewbacca is a suit and C-3PO is a guy in a suit.
This is completely like I'm talking different movie completely, but like I was watching the original Alien, which was like 1979, and like the ship and all the components of the ship and like the computers and like everything looks so unbelievably good. It looks better than a lot of modern movies. Like it just looks more like, it just feels real because it is real. It's like they made all these real sets and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think Matty was telling us that I think they did a similar thing for Alien, but they have like like little dioramas or whatever, little like, it'll be like an action figure kind of, not really. It's like a kind of mini version of a ship, and they'll use like angles and they'll make it look like a big ship that's floating in space, and it looks so real for some reason. It's like because it's actually like a physical thing that they're recording.
Yeah, like there are shots of the Nostromo in Alien that are like a model. And Star Wars, the original trilogy, they did the same thing where it's like there are shots of some of those ships that are just models, but because you put the camera right up its ass, it looks
so cool. You know,
and then you blow it up on like a 20-foot sized movie screen, like it just makes it look like this gigantic thing. But I am forever will remain impressed and in love with the original trilogy.
Honestly, we can save the last three as a whole new topic, because I could go personally, I could go on and on about how much I hate those.
Well, here's the thing.
You hate them?
Like as Star Wars movies, yes.
But what about A Force Awakens?
Like Force Awakens was the best of the three.
Yes.
Force Awakens sort of.
But that could still mean that
it landed on their feet. It landed on its feet, and it kind of made me excited for the whole thing. But Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi more so, but they just didn't land for me.
Here's the thing with Force Awakens, seeing that in the theater, and at the time there was so much expectation put on it because it was like Disney's first crack at Star Wars, and it was like, oh god, are they going to be able to do this? And yes, did they play it safe? Sure. Is it basically just A New Hope again? Yeah, kind of. But I think it just works so well. Put it this way, leaving Force Awakens was such an exciting time to be a Star Wars fan, because not having grown up with the original trilogy, because that was like before our time, growing up as a kid, it was like, oh cool, all the Star Wars movies, I love this shit. And then like, at least for me, as I get older, it's like, the prequels kind of suck. I still love the originals though. But it was kind of like this like down time for a long time to like be a Star Wars fan. Like there wasn't necessarily anything like new and exciting. And then with the Disney stuff, it's like, all right, are they going to fuck this up or are they going to like do it kind of thing? And to me, I think they did it in quotes for a little while. When they came with Force Awakens, it was like, oh my God, they've done it. Like, it was just such an exciting time where it's like, what's next? And like, there was so much like interesting questions. And again, I think it's a case of very wasted potential where it's like all this interesting shit set up. And then they're like, all right, now we're going to try doing like other Star Wars movies that aren't part of the mainline ones. And I was definitely one of those people at the time who was like, here we go. They're going to fucking run Star Wars into the ground like Disney does everything else. And then Rogue One comes out and it's like
a banger.
This is arguably like a top 3.
Better than Force Awakens, probably.
Yeah, like I think better than Force Awakens, and is arguably like a top 3 Star Wars movie. And it's like, wow, this is fantastic.
For me, I know this might be wacky. It's a top movie. It's a top movie of all time.
And then Solo comes out. Amazing. And then Solo comes out and we're like,
well, but then right. And then 8 comes out and it's like, okay, this was clearly not, like terrible, but not necessarily all hope is lost. And then Solo just kind of, I think Solo's fine, but it's just forgettable. Like it kind of really came and went like with like a wet fart. Yeah. And then by the time you get to 9, it's like coming off of 8 and sort of Solo, like there's just such momentum a like deflated, like all the momentum was gone. You know, it was like whatever.
You know what they should have done? They should have had J.J. Abrams direct the whole trilogy. Because then at least, even if it wasn't incredible, I really like Force Awakens, but at least that way would have been like a cohesive like trilogy, and it would have felt like a one piece.
And you wouldn't have to blame like the shift of director. Why would they shift the directors?
Here's the thing.
Any sense to me?
Here's the thing. I don't necessarily pin all of it on Rian Johnson, even though I think he definitely made some bozo decisions.
He's a great director. He's the one who did Knives Out. He's a good director. Okay.
Right, I pin part of it. Here's the thing. My dad will say like sometimes if we're watching like a hockey game and like if we're watching the Leafs and like one of them fucks up, and my dad will say to me sometimes, just because they're the best players in the world and they're being paid millions and millions of dollars doesn't mean they're like smarter than like, you know, the kid playing down the street kind of thing. Like they're still prone to the same fuck ups. And that's the kind of like logic I apply to things like the Star Wars thing, for example. It's like, look at Disney, who by the time they had gotten Star Wars had like 10 years almost under their belt of crushing with the Marvel movies. You would think if there was ever a company and a set of people that understood the importance of like brainstorming something, coming up with a full comprehensive plan, and then executing on that plan, it would have been Disney. But what did they do? They gave it to J.J. Abrams, who I think, again, made a kick-ass Star Wars movie, and then they went, all right, well, I guess we'll figure out what's going to happen next. It's like, what? Why was this not planned out
and I'm pretty sure
from the jump?
And I'm pretty sure, like, the fan reception was... People, like you said, were complaining that it was a little bit too familiar, but at the same time...
people liked it.
People liked it, and people were like, you know what, that was really enjoyable, even if it was a bit of a ripoff of whatever, New Hope.
And I think Force Awakens now is lumped in with 8 and 9 and is looked down upon more than I think it deserves.
Which I think is the same case with Episode 3, where I think people... We lump it in with 1 and 2, which are kind of stinkers, but number 3 is like it's a pretty enjoyable Star Wars.
3 is like of the prequels, it's the best one, and it's like it's closer to kind of like the other ones in terms of like the quality of it. So it's like that's the thing where it's like I just think again it's just such a like thing of wasted potential of like what were you guys thinking?
There is wasted potential because there's also some characters that I really like that they introduced. Like this isn't a new character, but I really like Donald Glover's Lando. I liked him as Lando. He was like a suave, cool Lando.
I think they'll do some. I mean, he's talked about how they want to do a show with him. I think at some point that's inevitable that you'll get a Lando show with him.
And like I think Rey's a cool. Like I enjoy Rey as a character, and like I don't know.
And again, it's just a thing where it's like. This is less of a wasted potential. Well, it is wasted potential, but also just a boneheaded decision where it's like, to me, it's like coming out of 7, it's like Rey was interesting. Who is Rey? And then at 8, they tried to do the thing of like, well, she's really nobody. And it's like, okay, that's a potentially interesting way because going into 8 for that like 2-3 years, it was like, she's Obi-Wan's granddaughter or she's Luke's kid or she's something like, and then the idea of like, well, she's not related to any of these people. She's her own thing. Interesting idea. That they then do nothing with, and then try to retcon it and be like, well, actually, she's Palpatine's kid. Like, then they try.
Who's the mom? They never find out.
They never say, but just that
Palpatine was in bed with somebody.
Yeah, that's always the funniest thing people talk about.
He wasn't always a hideous person.
That's the funny thing people talk about, where it's like, imagine Palpatine just absolutely slaying it up in the bedroom.
That's why
she would have been conceived when he was.
But yeah, so it's just a thing with like when it comes to the new trilogy, it's just disappointing because it's something that unlike the prequels, which, I mean, again, the Phantom Menace was in the 90s, so that was still right before us. But it's like Phantom Menace came out, and it was so much excitement of like, oh my God, George Lucas, prequels, more Star Wars, blah, blah. And then Phantom Menace comes out, and it's like,
it is by
Jesus
far the
Christ,
worst.
George, what were you thinking? And
is
it's
the
like,
worst.
maybe they'll get it with the next one. And then Attack on the Clones comes out, which some people would argue is even worse than Phantom Menace. And it's
people
like,
do that, yeah.
oh my God, George, what are you doing? And then by the time you get to Revenge of the Sith, I think it's kind of like there's a little bit of that goodwill returned. Because it's, again, Revenge of the Sith is the best of the three. But with Star Wars, with the new ones, they had the opposite thing on their hands, where they came out of the gate with like all this immediate goodwill and like people loving these characters and latching onto this shit. And then they went and squandered it so much.
Yeah. Just to end us off here, I'd like to just bring us back to Rogue One. Back to where it all started with this conversation, how Malcolm was talking about Darth Vader at the end. I've been just thinking about that scene for the past like 10 minutes.
It's real good.
It's amazing.
And I think what's really, really good about it, you obviously need like you don't need the background of the Star Wars movies, but if you have it, it's that much better because like Darth Vader was like he's this very powerful like figure in the Star Wars world, and in that last scene, the fear on the rebels' faces and just the atmosphere that they build in that scene gives me shivers because it's like, oh my God, like they're screwed.
No one can
like they're
stop them.
terrified. They're passing the message along to each rebel, and he's cutting up each one as the camera's moving forward, and they're still getting the message along, and they barely get it through the crack of the door, and it's just
Vader,
insane.
I mean, just to toss it out there, Vader's my favorite character in Star Wars.
Okay.
I'm not as crazy about, again, the prequel stuff and him being Anakin.
Okay.
But like from A New Hope, well, I guess some of the shows and cartoon stuff between that, just Vader on to me is just my favorite shit, also because I'm a sucker for bad guys. But it's like, yeah, it's just, to me, he's handled so well where it's like in Rogue One, he's terrifying. I always reference in Empire Strikes Back, where I know the original trilogy doesn't really make Vader look all that cool, but to me it's more the subtle implications of like him in Empire Strikes Back just beating the shit out of Luke literally with one hand.
Yeah.
To me, it was always such a like non-verbal way of being like, oh, this guy doesn't fuck around.
Yeah.
Like Luke with all this training at this point with Yoda can't touch this guy.
Yeah.
And even like we've all played Jedi Fallen Order, right?
Oh my
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
Jedi Fallen Order.
Spoiler
that's
alert.
insanity.
Coming out.
But the end, I can't wait for Survivor. But the very end of Fallen Order, which my only issue with it is it's like Vader didn't really need to be in this moment, but it's completely overruled by the rule of cool, where it's like when he shows up at the end of that fucking game and kills the First Order, not First Order, Empire, what do they call him? Inquisitor. When he kills the Inquisitor lady, and that final sequence of Fallen Order isn't fighting Vader. Because in some games it would have been, let's fight Vader. Like that would have been like the big showy boss fight. I cannot commend Respawn the studio enough for being like, no. The end of this game is a fucking chase sequence. The end of this game is get away from this guy as fast as you humanly can, because you are screwed. Like it's such a, I'm getting like chills just talking about it, like the happy tears. It's such a like, it's such a cool thing, and it's like
He's actually tearing up.
I'm actually
Make me tear up now.
I'm getting like the
Oh my
happy
God.
tears. Like it's just such a God. This whole topic is just gonna be people being like, what a bunch of fucking nerds.
It is
Yes.
dope. And I like how they in Empire Strikes Back they do it because in part they can't really show off anything crazy cool.
Right. It's like the limitation.
But like you said,
of
it's the
time.
implication that like if you wanted to, he could do whatever he wants with you.
Yeah, like this whole thing would be done in like half a second
Yeah.
if he chose. But
Like
it's that
step it,
attitude
yeah.
of like, oh, he's like kind of
Playing
screwing
with
with
his
him
food.
and playing with him.
Yeah.
And
kind
as
of
they've
thing,
released more stuff, they've explored that. Like even in Obi-Wan, episode like 4 or 5 of Obi-Wan, the series.
Yeah.
There's that
Is
scene.
it good?
I already
You-
know what you're talking about. This is spaceship in the sky.
Yeah.
He's just,
Yeah,
And
when he
he's
catches the
yeah.
spaceship and it's like, oh my God. Like I remember gasping at that moment and being like, I didn't know that was possible. I'm scared.
Is that show good?
that's what we're
I didn't
Obi-Wan
enjoy it
is,
that much.
I think overall, I think it's good. It has issues, but I think it's like worth checking out.
But Mandalorian's a better series. You'd say.
Mandalorian's better, in my
Mandalorian's
opinion.
one of the ones I haven't seen, and that's the thing. I have
It's
a lot
better.
of gaps in my knowledge too. But anyways,
We love.
let's get outta here.
We love Star Wars.
Mark's
We love
dying
it.
here. In case you can't tell by the fact that we're running a little long here with this topic, we love Star Wars. Malcolm, thank you very much.
Moving on from that, let's go to Matty.
Hello, it's me. I hate to steer it into a somewhat more serious thing because we had so much fun here
Just
today.
don't do it then.
But we're going to be talking about sci-fi. Drop the fi. Fellas, I'd like to talk to you today about AI. Now, I think there's two different ways this topic can go. There's the, like, you know, Skynet, Terminator, like HAL from 2001: A Space Odyssey, all that shit. But I want to talk about AI as it stands today, as it exists in our real world. Because I'm going to be honest, it scares the shit out of me.
The first thing I thought when you said AI was just Joe Biden and Trump.
Playing Minecraft together?
Playing Minecraft.
See, and that's the thing. Has AI produced some good, funny memes? Of course, absolutely. But here's the thing. Let me start with this. Philip DeFranco, every once in a while, when he's talking about like an AI-related story on his news, says the same thing over and over. AI today, right now, is the worst it's ever going to be. It is never going to be worse than it is today.
You're talking technically.
Tomorrow, it is going to be better than it was today. The day after that, it will be a little better than it was the day before, kind of thing. So it's this idea that it's AI in a lot of ways has left the station, and now it's just a question of
how far is it going to go?
How far is it going to go, and what are we going to do to react to it? And that's what I kind of wanted to get into with you guys. Because again, there are funny applications of it. But for example, with the AI image generating things, like 6 months ago when that stuff first started coming out, you'd type in, you know, Obama. I said Obama.
Obama.
I said Obama like the meme. What an idiot. When you could type in like, you know, Obama at the beach, and it would like do him at the beach, but like his face would be really messed up, and like it would kind of look like him, but not really.
I saw one that was like SpongeBob SquarePants on trial for war crimes.
Yes.
And it was him in a court, and he was wearing like Nazi memorabilia, and he was like getting like tried for war crimes.
But what I'm saying is, now the thing is, like a few weeks ago when like right before they indicted Trump, and he had that thing where he's like, I'm going to be arrested. There were images going around that were Trump being arrested by the cops. That real. For a split second, for half a second, I was like, what the fuck? And then it clicked. I was like, oh, this is like clearly some bullshit. And so it's just the thing of like, even in that short a time, the image generation has gotten so astronomically better. The writing stuff, the fact that like you don't have to write an essay ever again if you don't want to, and they're having all these problems now in like schools at every level with ChatGPT.
I have just one anecdotal story.
Please.
I had to write a paper critique assignment recently about a study, like it was a biological study. And I had finished it, and I just to see like if I was missing any clear points, I just asked ChatGPT, hey, like critique this paper. And it didn't give a output that would have gotten me even half a decent mark. just for the record.
What I've been told, I have a coworker who used it, and he claims to have used like at least half of his paper was like completely generated.
Yeah, I could see it where it's like, because it still isn't at a place where it could do the full thing and give you exactly what you need. Like I can see where like you could do sections of it. I've also asked it to like, when I was unsure about what statistical test to use for like stuff in the lab that I was working on, I've done it where I would be like I'd give it the predicates and be like, okay, if you have this kind of data, whatever, what kind of test should you run? And it would like give me like a pretty decent answer. So it's definitely really amazing.
Yeah, because what I was gonna say is that my coworker said that based on that he got like an 85 on it or something.
Okay.
Based on that it being like 50% him, 50% the service.
ChatGPT.
But what is scary is that like I've seen, I don't know, I think I was showing you guys. I think I've shown at least one of you. It's this video of this guy talking. He's like, "Oh, like our AI is gonna replace like content creators or something like that." And then as he's saying that, his voice starts like fading out, and it goes, "It already has. I'm not real." And it like, and his face starts to melt off, and then it's like a woman under it, and she was like, she created this like AI like fake person. She created a voice, used like deep fakes to like have like this really realistic looking person, and it's just like it's terrifying because now a lot of people can like use this technology to make a perfect model of like, let's say Joe Biden or something, and then make him say something like crazy and like start World War III, like be like him like saying something like we're gonna do this to another country or whatever, and it would look so real.
That's the thing. What's to stop some crazy like asshole from sending
directly to China.
What looks like convincing proof that nukes are flying at Russia to like an insane person like Putin and have him be like,
or like an audio clip of him being like, release the missiles.
Honestly, I'm sure someone could come up with some AI thing where Joe Biden is standing up giving like a presentation or something. I don't even know where he does it, where they do that, but they can make it realistic enough.
The White House, probably.
Probably the White House. They can make it realistic enough that it would look exactly like him, and there's reporters and stuff of him saying, we're sending missiles over to China at this second.
Yeah, that's where like the whole deep fake thing comes in, which is a whole other problem where it's just like, I find the AI thing scary for two reasons. A, because I find it deeply terrifying in the sense of it's going to get to a point where like you're not really going to be able to know what's real when it comes to shit unless you're physically seeing it and holding it like right in front of you. Like it's going to get to that point. And even to Patrick's thing about like you using the chat GPT and it like not really working. That's the thing, what I'm saying. And to Philip DeFranco's point where it's like, yeah, it's at a point now where if you say, write me a paper, it's going to spit something out at you that's like good, but requires like editing and some oversight. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be that way forever. It's going to be to the point of like, all right, give me this paper, and it spits out a paper at you that is like indistinguishable
what I was told
from what a person would write.
Have you guys heard of Turn It In before?
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll give you like the percentage of how, plagiarized your paper is. It'll be like your paper is like 40% similar to this other thing. And what I was told by the same person that used it for their paper is that like apparently Turn It In is trying to like create an AI detection system or something. So like I don't know how that's going to work because I wonder if it's going to be a thing where the AI gets way too good where it's like not detectable at all.
Right.
Or if there's going to be some sort of technological way to like get to the origin of how it's created or something. I don't know.
I think it would be technological. Like it's like Instagram has this. You just showed us a clip where it was like, see why this is fake or whatever.
It said it was a deep fake of Elon Musk, and he said that like Tesla cars are now gonna like have you can biometrically scan your balls and it'll unlock the car.
Yeah,
and they call it like,
testicular detection.
Testicular detection.
Exactly.
It's a deep fake, and then at the bottom of the post it said, "See why fact checkers say this video is altered."
Yeah, I by no means understand AI on a technical level at all, but I would think that there's some way to like it leaves some sort of like digital fingerprint. I would presume.
That's what I was thinking.
I could be completely wrong.
Like Mark's saying with Turn It In, some of those programs already exist because I saw some video on the news a while ago that was basically a teacher like lighting up one of his classrooms and being like, hey, we used an AI detecting thing and it found that like 60% of you in this class used ChatGPT to write your essays and stuff. So it was just this teacher like laying into these students. So it's like,
I'm glad I'm not going to be an English teacher.
It's just this thing where it's like I'm sure there will be like people working on programs to like be able to detect that kind of stuff, but then it just becomes this arms race of like the AI companies trying to outdo the detection companies and the detection companies trying to outdo the AI companies.
But the thing is,
just
what are the AI companies like? Would we assume that their goal is to try to be like undetectable? Like, why would they want that?
I don't know if that's necessarily the goal, but I think the idea is to come up with the best thing possible, and that's what freaks me out in the sense of like not being able to figure out what's what anymore, because it's like as deepfake stuff and like audio replicating with AI and all that stuff becomes like right now it's funny, haha, because it's like, oh, Joe Biden and Trump and Joe Rogan and Obama are playing fucking Minecraft, like ha ha ha, but like it's going to get to a point of like. Especially people who like, not that we're like understand the science and behind it, but it's kind of like how our generation is more like tech savvy and more like knowledgeable, let's say, of like internet culture than like our parents, for example. Like it's going to get to the point where your parents are going to come to you one day and be like, oh my God, I can't believe like Biden said the most abhorrent thing known to man. And you're going to look at the clip and we might know, for example, because we might have a better like eye for that kind of stuff, but it's going to get to the point where it's like, well, can you blame anybody for looking at this convincingly real looking and sounding clip of Biden saying the most abhorrent thing ever? Like, could you blame anybody for, not detecting that and like believing that to be fact kind of thing? And that's always the thing where it's like, I don't know, like we talked about aliens forever ago on the show, but it's like the thing with aliens, like, especially at the time when like, you know, UFO fever was like a thing or whatever, it was always this thing of like, well, just get proof, just get pictures, just get videos, just get something, because that was considered good enough. But like now it's at a point with like this kind of AI shit where it's like if somebody came to you and was like, look at so and so saying the most like awful thing ever, like that's not gonna be enough one way or the other to believe it or not, kind of thing.
Unless the detection software is good.
Sure, unless there's something that can detect it. But like it's going to get to a point where it's like, well, unless I saw Joe Biden standing right in front of me and heard him saying that, I can't
You're saying there's inevitably a point where the detection software will never be able to pick up if it's AI?
Well,
I don't know if I'm necessarily saying that, but I'm saying it's going to get to a like scary point where it becomes a problem and it becomes indiscernible. And I was just looking here on my computer quickly. I don't know if you fellas are familiar with the Turing test.
The Turing test is like to determine if something's a computer or not.
Pretty
if it's
much. The idea behind it is more trying to figure out, like, the idea is if you sat like a person in a room.
Wait a minute.
What?
Did I not? Have you guys not seen? I've seen Ex. Have you guys seen Ex Machina?
Yeah.
The whole idea of the movie is a Turing test of like if he's talking, he brings like one of the workers from the company, this tech company, like the boss of the company, to like talk with this robot and determine if determine if like they're fully conscious or whatever, or they're fully like.
I think like this specific test is. They're having a chat, like a text chat with a computer, and if they can't discern whether it's a computer or a thing, then it passes, like it's AI.
Well, it passes, and then the argument is that if it can basically fool a person into thinking that they're talking to a person, then the idea is that it has some like that you could make the argument that it's passed the test, and then in a philosophical way that it's got some sort of consciousness. But it reminds me of that, like of the Turing test thing, not so much in that sense where it's like. To me, it's like it's going to get to a point where you tell me, you show me a paper or something and I read it and I can't tell that a robot or like that an AI wrote it. And it's not that I'm going to think, again, in a kind of sci-fi way that it's like, oh, well, the AI has a consciousness and a sentience and it's alive. It's not going to be that. It's just going to be a thing of like, an AI wrote it, and how is anyone ever supposed to know that they did it or not?
To me, like, with the naked eye, you wouldn't know, but like what I was talking about earlier with the detection systems, I feel like if there's some way to like figure, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just talking out of my ass, but like if there's somewhere you can figure it out in terms of like tracing your, like technologically retracing your steps, or not retracing your steps, but like working from the finished product and until you break it down into like its original creation, like code or whatever it is. I don't know if there's some sort of way to detect it technologically as opposed to just like looking at it and being like, oh, we can't tell.
Right.
And also I feel like you never know, because like humans are oftentimes doing terrible shit, but like I feel like there would be some sort of responsibility on these companies to like make sure that they're still detectable, to make them as good as possible, but yet make them detectable for safety.
You would think that. Also, the wind chimes is Mark's door again, because I don't know what Patrick's doing over there, if that's getting picked up. I don't know if it is or not. It probably is. Here's the thing, and this is the second aspect of AI stuff as it stands now that horrifies me, and it's one of these things that I think about, and I guess this is why I'm even bringing this up, is that for a long time, you've had very smart people like your Bill Gates or your Elon Musks or your, Mark, give me the Zuckerbergs, like all these kind of like very smart people for a long time, basically warning about AI and being like, hey guys, now I think they were warning about it more in the like, if it were sentient kind of thing of like, hey guys, we really ought to maybe slow this down a little and think about the kind of ramifications of this. And that's the other side of AI that scares the shit out of me, is how it affects like society. And again, Skynet from Terminator obviously and clearly affects society because it's alive and wants to kill everybody. But that's not what I'm worried about. What I'm talking about is the thing now of AI making stuff and doing things
according to its own, like,
it just that people can't like figure out or discern. And I guess the thing is like, for a long time, this kind of gets into the idea of like automation and robots, sort of in a way, where it's like for a long time there was this attitude shared by idiots like myself that was, well, automated cars are going to be a thing, so like we're not going to need truck drivers anymore because 18-wheelers are just going to be driven by computers. And then it brings up this conversation of like, well, what do you do with the like thousands and thousands and thousands of truck drivers. Like, what are they going to do for work? And it brings up that
or people who do like physical labor. Like if you're doing if you're working in a factory putting shit together, that could easily be done by a robot.
Stuff like that is for sure going to become like automated one day. But there was always this idea shared by, again, dumb people like me that like, well, stuff like, science and specifically stuff like the arts is safe. Like what, you're going to tell me a robot's going to sit at a computer and pump out like a screenplay for a movie or paint? Like that'll never happen. And then it fucking happened. Yeah. There was a guy who entered like AI generated art to a painting contest and won.
I think I saw an Instagram post about it, and it was supposed to be like the person was uploading it or was like entering it into the competition to prove that humans are still going to outdo or like there's certain jobs that humans can still like excel at, and they're like too unique to be recreated by robots. And like he was trying to make that point, and then it won anyway.
Then the AI thing that he generated won, and it beat out all these other people and their actual like paintings. So it's just a thing where it's like for a long time it seemed like the arts was the one thing that couldn't be touched, and it has very quickly become very apparent that that's a crock of shit, and that the arts can very clearly and very easily be touched. If Mark's door goes off one more time,
is he running back and forth?
I don't know what could possibly be doing the most.
He's pacing. Yeah, he's pacing.
But here's the thing. Like, it's kind of like what Patrick was saying earlier about the essay, where it's like, it's going to be at a point, if it isn't already, where a movie studio is going to be able to say, give me a script for the next Marvel movie. And it's going to come out and it's going to be fine, but it's going to need human oversight. Somebody's going to have to sit there and edit it and work on it and blah, blah, blah. And that person's going to get paid to still be, the screenplay editor or whatever. It's going to get to a point where a movie studio can go and say, give me the next Avengers movie. And the AI is going to pump out a perfect script for the next Avengers movie. And something that would have taken some screenwriters 6 months to do is going to take a computer 5 minutes.
It's cheaper.
And it's going to be infinitely cheaper. And it just becomes this thing of like, this is what worries me in the societal sense of what do you do when you've got all these things that like physical labor and manual thing like blue collar work. What happens when that and the white collar work, when all of that disappears?
Yeah.
Because even with the white collar stuff, it's like, you think an AI is not going to be able to do accounting jobs for people or like that kind of stuff with numbers, obviously. Like, of course, an AI would be able to do shit like that. Malcolm has also gotten up and left from the table. It's just Matty and I now. It's just the two of us. Oh, Patrick's back. What's up, Patrick?
I know what to me.
You know what? We'll get into your shit after.
To me, what it would have to be is like an insane number of like sanctions and like rules and regulations. But the problem is like a lot of these companies are private, so it'd have to be like government intervention being like, you guys can't make it undetectable. Like, make it as good as you can make it, but we still have to be able to like detect if it's real or not.
But but the undetectable thing, that's what I'm saying. It's like there's the undetectable, like not knowing what's real side of it that freaks me out. And then the side of what I was just talking about, Patrick, is I know you were apparently pacing in front of Mark's door back and forth.
I was going to say how much noise
which is why the wind chime thing kept going off.
Yeah.
The other part that freaks me out is the like, AI replacing humans specifically in the arts and like what that does, because to me it's not gonna like the problem isn't like, well, I can't tell if this movie script was written by an AI or a human. The problem is
jobs.
We want the AI script because it's 5 minutes and infinitely cheaper than paying some screenwriter 6 months to do it, and we don't have to pay the AI. And it just becomes this thing of like, what do you do with a population that has like the blue collar work, like the physical manual labor stuff that will easily get automated and become obsolete and is already happening? What do you happen when all that's gone and the people, again, like me, who thought they were safe, when they're all fucking out of a job too, because we don't need a screenwriter and we don't need, we don't need a graphic designer. I'm just going to type into the AI, design me a logo for my coffee shop, and it's going to spit out a totally usable, perfectly fine, well done logo back at me.
Dude, AIs can do almost, at some point they're going to be able to do almost anything, because I've seen clips of like a robot that is like doing eye surgery on someone, and it's just like the person's just laying there and the robot's just like cutting away, doing everything like precision, like crazy.
Exactly.
So it's like, and even like I want to be a teacher, that's easily going to be done by AI too, because like you can already have AI like spit you out a whole explanation of how something works, and you can have like a voice added to it, and there's very little that AI is not going to be able to do. Maybe sports are safe, because then it's a very human specific thing to human limbs and like
You know, there's actually a Nike ad out there about like robots playing against like the best soccer players like Ronaldo and Messi and Rooney,
the ad.
stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's like the cartoony ad.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And it's just a thing to me where it's like the utopian answer to this kind of thing that's scaring the shit out of me is like, well, in a utopian world, if robots are going to do everything for us, specifically the like manual labor, well, we don't have to work anymore. Like humans don't have to do jobs anymore. We now have our entire lives to just live lives of leisure. And again, the very utopian optimistic answer would be we can explore, you know, science, and we could do a personal interest of mine, explore space, and we can pursue the arts and like sports and all these like more leisurely things. Like that would be the utopian.
So would money just be canceled? Like there's no such thing as money anymore?
This is where the real answer comes in. What the fuck are you going to do when you've got all these people unemployed because everything has been taken, whether it's automated physical work or like AI done artistic work or accounting work, like whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
What do you do with all these people? I know some people toss out the thing of like, well, maybe you have to like introduce like a universal basic income. Purge. You have to introduce like a universal basic income to like give people money, but it's like you're going to give like what 30-40% of the population enough money to like live on, not to support them with an income, but enough to live comfortably on. Like that doesn't make any sense.
I guess the idea behind that would be like if we let the technology kind of take the reins and do whatever it can do, like the technology would be so advanced and so rapid in terms of how quickly it's discovering stuff, and like we would reap the benefits from how quickly it's able to do stuff, and like, you know, we would reap those benefits right away, as opposed to like us taking 50 years to discover this, whatever it is, like a cure to a disease or this new technology. Like AI would do it very quickly, for example. Right.
And that's the upside to AIs. Like when they get applied to like medical stuff, and there's already been like people and reports that will talk about these things, like, holy crap, this AI like has just given us like this, you know, what would have taken us like years to figure out, we've like figured out way quicker and like made actual progress because of it. So there's things like that where it's like, as an assisting tool, great, cool. But the problem is it's not going to become an assisting tool, especially once you get into like the economics and the money reality of a situation. Because again, it's like in an artistic way, why would you pay, you know, why would you pay like a dozen level designers at like your big fancy video game studio to design you levels for your game when you could type into your AI, well, for the next COD, we need this city level, and then we need the jungle level, and then we need the snow level and the desert level, and the AI just spits all these things back at you. So the levels have been designed by the AI, the designs have been spitted out by the AI, the graphics, the textures, it did all that for you. Like, so it's just one of those things where it's like, and from like an economic perspective, I don't blame some company from being like, well, we're going to do this because it's way cheaper. But from like a human perspective, it's like, I would hope that they wouldn't, but it's like,
probably will.
Call a fucking spade a spade here. Like, it's going to happen. And that's the side of it that like worries me the most. And it's why, like I was saying earlier, where it's like, if we as a species, and this is so much easier to say than do, had any sense of self-preservation, we would be a lot more careful with things.
That's what I'm saying.
But the problem is the problem is AI right now, again, it's left the station. Like there's no, it is at a point now where it's like, how do we react to it? It's not a thing of like, well, we're slowly going to drip feed it and introduce it into some things. It is at the point right now where it's like, it is out in the wild. It is, the train has left and there is no brake on the train. So it's like
getting stronger.
It's getting stronger. So it's like, what are we gonna do, kind of thing. And it's just, that's what freaks me out. One of the things I love, you guys know I love him, Mr. John Stewart, big fan. John, if you're ever listening to this, I love you so much. I saw you outside of a pizza place in New York one time, and didn't know it was you until it was too late to say anything. He had a great line a while ago that I loved, where he was talking like kind of more about the COVID stuff, but he was basically saying where he's like, the world doesn't end with some giant war or an alien invasion or like, you know, an asteroid hitting Earth. He's like, the world ends with some guy in a lab somewhere going, hey, it worked. And it's like, that's the kind of like thought process I apply to the AI stuff, where it's like, oh, cool, we did it. We made AI. Not the like thinking, feeling Blade Runner type shit, but the like, this very specific form of AI. It's like, oh, cool, we did it. we didn't do a good job handling it is the problem because now it's out and about. So it's just like,
to me, the only way to avoid that reality, that scary reality of things going to like doomsday mode is like, as AI becomes more and more advanced, then people like we start to hopefully as a species recognize the danger in certain things progressing, and then putting like strict laws and sanctions and stuff. Like, I don't know if that's going to stop it, but that's definitely what we're going to have to do if we want it to be something that's controlled and not just like growing like an animal wildly in the forest and just like starting to ravage everything.
And again, it's a thing that you would hope that we would like adapt to. And again, the very utopian thing, because you brought up the like, well, what do we do about money? And that's the thing. If you have all these people working, how do you still like, again, the very utopian thing is like, well, we're not going to do money anymore. Money's gone, you know, food for everybody. And like, you know, everybody gets a house to live, and, you know, the AI does all the work, and we can pursue the things in life that we want to pursue, whether you want to be a couch potato and just sit at home all day, or you want to pursue, you know, the arts and the sciences and like all this stuff that like, you know, we don't get to focus on as much because we have to worry about like normal jobs and all this stuff. Like that would be the utopian thing of like, don't worry about money. Money's not a thing anymore. Like everybody gets fed, everybody gets a home, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, that's not going to fucking happen. Are you kidding me? Like, what's going to happen is it's going to turn into a thing of like, oh, cool, AI can do this now. Oh, cool, this is more automated. Huh. Country's unemployment got a little higher this year. Oh, look at that. It got a little higher the next year, too. And it's like, what do you start to do with all these people? Like,
we wait for society to eventually turn into like everyone's like earning like electronic credits, and then it just becomes like Star Wars.
And we bring it right back.
That's right.
Right back. So anyways, well, we don't have to belabor that too much. But long story short, AI, it's scaring the shit out of me, and it's one of those things that, like I've told you guys, every once in a while I get in my head about like existential stuff. It's become more and more one of those things that just terrifies the shit out of me.
I feel like likely it won't be within our time where it causes the destruction of humanity. So God bless.
Let's hope. Yeah, God bless to our future generations.
There's what's the curve called?
Exponential?
No, there's like it's like Flynn's constant or something that.
All right, that's enough.
Technology.
I'm just kidding. What is it?
That technology is exponentially getting better.
Yeah.
So it's getting better quicker and quicker and quicker.
So it's an exponential curve. What is what I said?
Yeah, but there was a specific name to this curve.
The person who named it?
Yeah.
That's okay.
I don't know.
God
I don't think it's
bless America.
Flynn.
So you're saying that it's possible to happen in the time? Probably not though, right? All right. Good night, everybody.
We hope. Well, anyways, thank you, everybody. This has been another, I think, longer episode. My goodness.
We're probably reaching 2 hours here.
Probably getting close. Yeah. Of Wildly Adequate. Thank you for tuning in.
Really?
I've been Matt.
Were we adequate today, you think?
I think this was actually a pretty good one. Okay. This might just be Wildly Okay. Change the name of the show.
Personally, I don't like when we say like a show about nothing because it's always about something.
Yeah. I'd like to personally apologize for my leaving.
That's all good. Malcolm, what do you have to
genuine apology.
What do I have to say?
Patrick's apologizing for leaving.
Are you upset?
What do you have to say about when you left?
I apologize when I left.
Perfect.
That doesn't sound genuine. Mine was genuine.
I've been Matt.
I've been Pat. I hate this.
I've been Mark.
I've been Malcolm.
I mean, we don't have to. I just felt like, we'll save reasons. Anyways, thank you.
I thought they were all going to try and make it rhyme.
Oh, so. No. Yeah, you tried to do that last time.
See ya.
Thank you. Goodbye. We love you.